Media days here of 2023.
Yep.
Grand Hyatt, the location has changed, the scene has changed, but for the next 4 days, the talk pretty much will remain the same. That is the one constant thing that we will have.
Talking season.
It is the talking season. Talking points, SEC Media Days. Look, SEC Media Days used to be a time, though, where, I mean, really, I don't know. Do we have and will we have some really big talking points coming up over the next 4 days here in Nashville? I mean, is it going to be the uneventful 4 days? Or,
No.
I mean, because Tennessee, they had their penalties from the NCAA. We'll highlight that a little bit because we have not had a chance to do so since everything came out from the NCAA. I mean, that might get mentioned here, but it's pretty much been played out. What are we going to get for the next 4 days?
No, there's going to be some big-time talking points today, too, because you're going to have one of the, I think, 3 or 4 best teams in the SEC leading us off. It's Brian Kelly and LSU.
Okay.
You know, they're one of the I guess you could say co-favorites in the West. They may end up being the pick here this week. We'll see. I'm going to vote Alabama, but they're going to be 1 or 2, and so there's going to be a lot of people curious about LSU and maybe the leap they can go. I think they were 10-4 last year. They're trying to get back to the college football playoff and win back-to-back Western Division championships. They had that late hiccup against A&M that's really kind of took them out of any kind of conversation. They were still, because of the FSU loss, even though FSU had a good year, they were still pretty much out of it. But
right.
that was the nail in the coffin. But they still overachieved because when we were here last year, Scott, the expectations were low for LSU.
Well, we didn't know what to expect. The offensive line, the defensive lines were a mess.
7-5, you know, maybe if everything lined up perfectly, 8-4.
We didn't even know who their starting quarterback was going to be. You thought it would be Jaden Daniels. You expected it to be him.
And it wasn't even my pick, you know.
But you didn't know.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly didn't know. He may have known here, but
I think
he
he had a good
idea.
that he had brought Jaden Daniels in for a reason.
Right.
And so there's no question that Jaden Daniels ended up getting better as the year went on, and they found a way to beat Alabama, and that's all that matters. And, of course, you could have obviously said it was the gutsiest call of the year when Brian Kelly went for 2 and the win against Alabama because, you know, he would have been second-guessed a lot if they had been stopped. And it kind of defined their season.
Yeah,
Even though, you know, they lost to Texas A&M, they still won the bowl game, the Cheez-It Bowl, very impressively over Purdue, I think 63-7 and whatnot. And, you know, they were able to get double digits in wins in year one, win a division. And they didn't play poorly against Georgia. It was 50-30, I believe. It was a high-scoring SEC championship game. They looked much better than Wofford. And so you have to give LSU, you know, a lot of credit for the way they had and the way they played in the first year. And then with A&M, it's still one of the top, I think, 5 or 6 rosters in the SEC. But they were a dysfunctional mess last year.
Right.
And that's why they ended up 5-7 because of locker room issues and chemistry. But they still have talent. Even with all these transfers, they have big-time talent. So they could easily jump back into the top 5 or 6. So they're polarizing. Yeah, you got the Bobby Petrino factor. How is that going to work with Jimbo? There'll be a lot of questions about that. And
as far, I mean, in Arkansas, we're going to have to wait until Wednesday before we hear from Bobby Petrino. The Arkansas Razorbacks will be here on Wednesday with Alabama. They'll be partners with Alabama
Bobby's
that
with
day.
Texas A&M, though.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
Yeah.
I keep thinking Arkansas.
Yeah, he's with A&M. He's the OC, and so it's going to be very interesting.
Today.
That's what I'm saying. That's going to be one of the big talking points today is Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher and how that dynamic is going to work.
I feel sorry for the stenographer.
Yeah,
because
today it's going to be overload.
Because at 1:45, Jimbo Fisher will meet with the main media room. That's where he will walk in and face everyone. When you're watching it on the SEC network, when we say main media room, that is what you will see from the SEC network. That's the camera that you get from there. So here's how it's going to play out today. Greg Sankey, the commissioner, who's fresh off his contract extension, he will kick everything off this afternoon, or this morning, I should say, at 11:35. That is when Greg Sankey will give the State of the SEC address. This morning at 8:15, John McDade, Actually, that is tomorrow. I thought it was today, but it's tomorrow at 8:15. John McDade, the SEC Director of Officials, will meet, and I am sure he will get bombarded with the new rule changes in college football and how everything will play out there. Brian Kelly will take to the stage this morning at 12, or this afternoon at 12:30. Then Jimbo Fisher at 1:45, and Eli Drinkwitz will round everything out at 2:45 today. So make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We are going to be on with you till 10. That'll go to Chuck Oliver from 10 to 12. The Czar will be on from 12 to 2. And then you got Paul Feinbaum, and then the drive from 5 to 7. So we'll have you covered all day long here from SEC Media Days. Now, our day one coverage here on Talking Ball is brought to you by Bryant Bank. When you bring your personal finances to Bryant Bank, it's much more than a place to make financial transactions. It's joining a community bank that greets you by name and treats you like family. Their local bankers put care into action to empower your potential and work to be a collaborative partner that is helping you and your family build confidence for a bright future. It is Bryant Bank, and they are our day one sponsor here of Talkin' Ball. So should be a fun afternoon, should be a fun day. And in case you are wondering, Nick Saban, you know what number of appearances this is for him at Alabama?
For Alabama, this should be number 17.
16.
Okay.
That's what the SEC thing is telling me, 16. But Steve Spurrier still has the all-time record for appearances in media days, and that is 23 appearances for Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach.
As of until this year. This will be year 17 when he shows up.
So you may want to call the SEC because they have 2023 will be 16 for Nick Saban.
Oh. Well, I was just counting 7. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 17. So we've got a little bit of a snafu there. We got a little bit of a typo. They may have hit the snore button there a little bit. Nick Saban, this will be, now they say 21 appearances overall. Because of his days at LSU. For his LSU, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and Fatimus Maximus. Mm-hmm. And biggest scumbag in sports. In the media guide here, they have a double asterisk next to his name, and then you got to go down and find it, and it says, did not attend SEC football media days in 2004. Mm-hmm. That was the old speakerphone gate. Oh, speakerphone, yeah. Yep, and so he is the third on the list. Mark Richt is third on the list with 15 appearances as well. Houston Nutt and Tommy Tuberville both appeared 14 times here at SEC Media Days. Are they right with the Nick Saban? 20 would be 21 appearances? It would be 22 because I think he was at LSU 5 years. Okay. As far as I know, because his first year at LSU, I believe, was 99, and he left after the 04 season. Okay. 256-576-4977. That is how you can be a part of the show, be a part of the program this morning. And you're counting this in your head, aren't you? You're trying to figure it out. I mean, it should be. I don't know where they're counting. Years. I don't know how they're counting it. Unless, well, don't forget though. Didn't we not have one year though that we're counting? Like COVID. So that's probably why it is. Then I forgot about that. So we're taking out COVID. Yeah, that's right, because it wasn't. We didn't have one, did we? Dr. Fauci told us we couldn't have it. That's right. The Democrats told us that we were, everybody was going to be, So that's why. Suffering. So there you go. You were right, though. Had we had one, you would have been right on the money. That's why you take one off. Yep. And so this will be. But I still say it's 22, though, because he was at LSU, I thought, 99 through 04, because he left the year after the national championship. Remember, he wanted in 03, and then he stayed one more year and then left for the Dolphins. So. Let's go out to the phone lines. Jonathan, let's go to Jonathan first out there on the phone lines. Good morning, Jonathan. Okay, then let's go to Jeff from the Borough. Good morning, Jeff. What's up, Jeff? It's COVID. Well, it's COVID.
Well, yeah, we forgot the COVID
because
year.
we didn't have it in 20 at all because they didn't think anything.
I don't even know if it was Zoomed. Jeff, I don't even think
they did much via Zoom.
No, they didn't even do a Zoom SEC media. I think they left it up to the school.
Yeah.
I think they left it up to the school to have something.
I think they had like a media day or something, but I don't think
it wasn't anything
they did
like
anything. Yeah.
Well, he only needs to go 3 more years because this will be 21 overall. If he goes 3 more years, he'll be, I guess. Right. Well, he's been, this will be 16 at Bama.
And not 17 because of COVID.
No, that's 21. If you counted that, this will be his 21st appearance. Well, consecutive, yes. At a single institution, this will be 16. Right, and he has 23 total. He has 23 total appearances.
Yeah.
Well, look,
we tag-teamed it a little bit.
I'm telling you, yesterday it caused a little bit of confusion.
Yeah.
Today we've figured it out and we're good.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Yep.
Yeah, we did. We heard that.
Yeah, well, we tried to have a great time in Nashville, but it was a good night. Let's just, we
hear the train a-coming.
Well, you will be able to hear the train a-coming today. It's going to feel like we're at Woodson Street if you listen to all the shows back in the day because the train is literally running right outside the hotel.
Or if you're at the furniture factory. Remember the furniture factory?
Yes, because it's going to be running right through here. But the train had some late night stops last night.
No question.
We've got to get a break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball live from SEC Media Days, and it could be a great day for strawberries and cream.
It will.
More break when we return.
I got your text.
My firm, Martinson & Beeson, has been helping clients for over 80 years, and we have received over 300 five-star Google reviews. Get in touch with me right now by visiting morristheattorney.com. There's no charge for our meeting. Again, that's morristheattorney.com. Look forward to helping you. Go Chargers.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Qualis Corporation, headquartered here in Huntsville, is a woman-owned small business providing technical services
What's better than Valley Equipment? Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and
money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
Talent.
All right, there we go. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond there, and 256-576-4977. You can join the program on this Monday morning as we come to you live from day one of SEC Media Days here at the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville. And once again, I should say, today you're going to get LSU, Texas A&M, and Missouri. Those will be your three schools today. Tomorrow, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Then on Wednesday, it's Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky. Then on Thursday, to wrap everything up, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Tennessee will headline SEC Media Days. And, of course, Tennessee in the news on Friday because of the NCAA. Jeremy Pruitt in the news. We know now why Jeremy Pruitt is not coaching college football
for the foreseeable future.
6-year show cause.
Yep. And even if he gets time served, I've been asked that question, it would be 4. And, of course, one of the stipulations, if he took a job even, would be the first year on said campus, he would be suspended for the whole season, Scott. So, there's a lot of obstacles there. He may, sue. He may, take legal action. We'll see. But it's very, very expensive, very tedious. And for now, Jeremy Pruitt, that situation is, Alabama, it's just time for the Tide to move on.
Yeah. Tennessee will have to vacate 11 wins from the 2019 and 2020 seasons under Coach Pruitt there as part of those penalties handed down by the NCAA.
So toothless. I mean, just vacating
That's what everybody
wins.
said. That's
everybody knows who won the games, man.
That is the biggest thing. All right, 256 again, 576-4977. So we talked a little bit about LSU and what Brian Kelly will bring to the table. He will bring Jaden Daniels with him.
Of course.
And that is probably when we talk about quarterbacks in the league, and we have talked about it, previewing it going into SEC Media Days 2023, Jaden Daniels.
And Josh Williams, the running back, who was a Cinderella story, who came out of nowhere to be the starter because there was a lot of guys thought to be more talented than him on the depth chart. Former walk-on that did a nice job of earning the job a season ago. And then, as we said, Mekhi Wingo, the D tackle, going to be there too for LSU. So that's going to be your three representatives for the Bayou Bengals that will lead off today.
And then Texas A&M will have Aniyah Smith, who,
has been there forever. Got hurt last year, but is a very dynamic offensive performer, no doubt. And now we are going to have our first guest here on Radio Row that's going to lead us off here for this week, and it is the producer / fill-in host / wearer of many hats, and that's Dan Matthews of the Chuck Oliver Show.
A leadoff hitter, huh?
Yeah.
How about that? I never hit leadoff.
No.
I was middle of the order guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to be like Ronald.
The cleanup
right?
guy.
Yeah, I was more of like your Sean Murphy, Austin Riley type. That was more of my mold.
Or the hammer man.
Okay.
Keep swinging.
That's it.
There you go.
Okay.
That's it.
We're getting everything underway, and obviously you look at who's going to be here today, and LSU is going to garner most of the attention. Jaden Daniels will be here probably. And we were talking about this going into SEC Media Days. The quarterbacks at the SEC or in the SEC this year, Jaden Daniels,
he's going to get a lot of first-team pub.
He's going to get a lot of first-team pub.
Yeah, he is. And I brought this up on the show last week as well, that I think the guy that's going to have the best SEC Media Days is Brian Kelly. Because, there really hasn't been anything this offseason that you can look to and say, hey, coach, answer to this, answer to that. There's no fake accents. There's no, having to replace, more than 39 scholarship players on your team. He's got a lot of people talking about his team about being not only winners of the SEC West, but also, too, a team that can possibly find their way into the national championship picture. So, it's going to be coming in here with high expectations. It's going to be interesting to see, just what exactly comes his way. But I think most of the questions are going to be positive for him today.
Should we buy into the LSU hype?
I've got to see more out of Jaden Daniels. I saw a guy that many times last year would start slow and then would try to make up for it at the end. More often than not, he was successful. But, the Florida State game, if he is a little bit better at the beginning of the game, they probably win that game. Probably the same deal as well in the A&M game as well. Even though, defensively they kind of took a little bit of a C- effort in that game. But, it all in all was a much better than expected 2022 than I think a lot of people thought they were going to have.
Yeah, I got to tell you what, we were just talking about one of the other guys that's coming to today, Josh Williams. He wasn't even on the radar last year going into this season. I wasn't even convinced Jaden was going to be the starter. I was wrong about that. Josh Williams is a former walk-on that came on and jumped over some guys like Emory who had the academic problems and jumped in and became the starting tailback there. And they overachieved because I know you remember last year the word was 7-5. Mm-hmm. That's what they were hoping for. I ended up being right. I thought coaching would matter. I thought they had a lot of talent. And I've never thought it was a matter of talent at LSU. To me, it's always been the coach.
Yeah.
And so I picked them second. They ended up doing one better than that. I'm still going to go second again. I don't see them beating Alabama and Tuscaloosa, but they certainly are talented enough. And it's going to be interesting. I thought they had a guy that's going to be your next superstar coordinator, too, Matt House. That dude made some waves, brother.
Yeah, him and Denbrock both did a really good job last year. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But, this is a defense that with Harold Perkins kind of leading the way, and that was a defense that last year didn't have Mason Smith. And that was
one series.
That's it. I mean, and everybody that I've talked with in Baton Rouge said in practice, every single offensive lineman would come off the field and say, can't block him. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So you got him, you got Mekhi Wingo up front. So you definitely have a lot more name brand players than you had last year. And that's what we expect from LSU, because the funny thing is until 2019, what did we think of LSU? We thought of them as they'll get after you running the football, they'll get after you on defense. Now, those have kind of taken a little bit of a back seat now to what they are offensively. And I think that probably Brian Kelly's at least goal is to try to get back to that a little bit more. I mean, kind of like what I think Nick Saban is going to try to do in Tuscaloosa now on offense is try to be more of a physical attack than they've been these last few years. And, I think that probably with LSU, I mean, you look at it again, it's Jaden Daniels. How good can he be from the beginning of games all the way through? Because I understand playing the quarterback position is the hardest position to play in all of sports.
Oh,
and you're going to have your lulls during games, but you would prefer maybe about the second or third quarter, first and fourth, you want to be able to be on your best.
Yeah, well, then later this afternoon, everyone's going to be marriage counselors, and then we're going to ask Jimbo Fisher if the marriage with he and Bobby Petrino will last.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this on the show when he addressed it during spring practice, and he was, we'll take it as it goes, all of that. And it's like, how did you not know that you were going to be asked that? Like, how did you honestly believe that you weren't going to be asked about that and have an answer prepared already of, hey, it's going to be it's going to be a collaborative effort. How about that? I'm still going to be very involved in the offense. Obviously, Bobby has a part here. But in terms of who runs the offense, it's going to be a collaborative effort. And, and that's annoying. It's a non-answer, but still, it's at least an answer. You at least have something. I mean, it was just, I don't know if it was just, complete, malfeasance in terms of, not believing that it was going to be asked. But when you got a guy like Bobby Petrino on your campus, someone's going to ask you about it, and they did.
Well, and they were a team that just didn't have chemistry last year. They were very talented, ended up 5-7. If the chemistry can be fixed, and it can be, depending on, I know they lost a lot of talent in the portal. They still have a lot, though. They could be, to me, a top 5, top 6 team in the league, which means third in the West. I still think very solidly. I haven't decided fully if I'm going to wait to hear from Jimbo and see what if I think he's – last year I thought he was lying through his teeth. This year, if he seems like he's being authentic and he believes in his squad, they could easily, I think, be up there with LSU and Alabama because, as you know, they've still got talent, especially defensively.
They showed it in that LSU game last year.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the team that I think a lot of people thought they were supposed to be.
They put it together one time.
And they did. And I guess if nothing else, what you can take from it is you can say, all right, we've got most of these guys coming back. We feel pretty good about this roster. I mean, their offense, we see what this offense looks like with Anais Smith and what it looks like without him. And the fact that he's going to be back this year and going to be part of that offense, I think is going to be another thing that really helps him out as well. So, Connor Weigman, I'm a believer in him. I mean, especially to that LSU game, what we saw out of him, he's somebody that can make a difference on the field. But, just in terms of the overall team, I mean, defensively, a lot of good returners. It just really comes down to, we have Dave Bartu on every single week, and he said that one of the constants that's kind of been holding him back is the guy that you would not think, and that's Jimbo.
Wow. And then they got to replace one of the more dynamic guys in A-Chain, who put up great numbers even though their team wasn't good. I still think everybody's talking about Dalvin Cook with the Dolphins. Watch it, man. They drafted A-Chain in the 3rd round, and if he picks up the playbook fast – he's dynamic as a kickoff returner, but he can be a running back answer too for them. And I mean, I thought he was still really, really good, even though those around him were not.
Yeah, I mean, both Texas schools, Texas and Texas A&M last year, good running backs that can make a difference in both the running game and the passing game. And, A-Chain and also Bijan Robinson, who Falcon fans are going to get to know a lot about this coming season. But, I mean, that's just, it was a huge part of their offense, like you said, but also, too, as well. I mean, this was a group last year that, I mean, I think that the problem has been for Jimbo Fisher while he's been there at A&M is it hasn't been getting the wins. He's proven he can get a big win.
Well, yeah, he's got a good record.
It's the losses that they've had. I mean, I mean, it's losing on the road at Ole Miss.
Appalachian.
It's losing exactly. I mean, it's losing to Auburn. It's losing to Mississippi State. I mean, it's games like that you look at and just say, you got to clean those up, man, if we're going to take you seriously.
Well, and just as they look bad against Miami, and Miami was not a good football team.
No. And I mean, then we go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, you've got LSU and Texas A&M where the light is going to be bright on them for different reasons. LSU trying to repeat in the West, Texas A&M trying to break through in the West. And then you got Missouri in there. And, I mean, I don't even know if Missouri even knows they're here.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that there are certain days on the schedule you look at and you say, oh, man, that's a tough break to be you guys. And Missouri is the one wearing that today. But, I mean, you know, such as them in the conference, I think, kind of as well. You know, I mean, I think that it's one of those things that it is a proud fan base. I found that out. SEC Mike, Michael Bratton on that SEC podcast, he had me on and asked me about Missouri and Arkansas, and I, was more favorable to Arkansas. And Missouri fans were pretty quick to let me know that they didn't appreciate that very much, which, in their own way on social media, they do that. And it's pretty much the social media version of a one-finger salute to you. And, I got that going.
Maybe they'll show up to a game then.
That's it. I mean, that was really the crux of what I said at the end is I just said, guys, I'll believe in you when you give me a reason to believe in you. I mean, I'm sorry. You just haven't done it. And, first, it's, 2 out of the first 3 years we're in the SEC championship game. I said, it's almost 10 years ago, guys. Like, you've got to do something in between now and then for me to be able to believe in you. And look, we've seen it in the past. I mean, with Gary Pinkel, you can get players to Missouri. I just think that the question has been about keeping them there, and especially, too, in the age of, the transfer portal. I mean, Luther Burden last year announcing that he was coming back. You didn't really ever see that happen at places. But, I mean, obviously there was enough smoke out there for people to wonder, is he going to be elsewhere next season?
Well, and the thing about Mizzou, too, is with Drinkwitz is there's probably 2 coaches that you could say their seat is a little, not scorching, but could get hot. Jimbo, we just talked about, and if Mizzou has a losing season, I think they've got to go 7-5 or better. Now, their fan base is not unreasonable. They understand who they are, and they did make the point to you, and that is true. People forget they did go to 2 SEC championship games, and that hangs over A&M because they've never been, of course, but they didn't have to go. Missouri didn't have to go through the West. That's the other caveat. But I think it also shows how good a coach Gary Pinkel was.
No, it is. I mean, what Gary Pinkel did so well, and having, some friends of mine that had played for him at Missouri, is he did an outstanding job of not only being able to control that state recruiting-wise, he did an outstanding job of going into the state of Texas. I mean, Sean Witherspoon.
Well, they were in the Big 12, too. Yeah, he made some inroads there,
He really did a great job of going into that state and getting players. And I think for schools like Missouri, you got to get a little bit more creative. I mean, I think that LSU has kind of shown you that LSU is going to try to control the, southern Louisiana and then, up Shreveport, Bossier City, that area right there. But they're also going to supplement as well. I mean, I'm curious to hear Brian Kelly talk about this as well. But, the Houston area is a huge part of LSU's recruiting. They've got to be able to hit that area, the Dallas-Fort Worth metro, and then Atlanta as well. I mean, really being able to try to get players that way. And when you don't have a huge in-state recruiting, at least a group that you can pick from, kind of like Georgia. I mean, the Florida schools have to split it up a little bit. Texas and Texas A&M and, TCU and everybody else in the state of Texas, they got to try to split it up as best they can. But, I mean, when you don't have that, you got to get a little bit more creative and you got to go a little bit more national.
No doubt. Well, Dan, before you go, I mean, I'm leaning toward, of course, everybody knows Georgia's going to win a landslide in the East. I'm leaning Bama. If I had to pick a champ, until you get knocked off, I guess I'd have to say Georgia, even though I think Alabama can stare them in the face. Where are you leaning early in the week?
I think probably with the quarterback and what LSU has returning, I'd go LSU. I think that probably, it's go with what you know over what you don't. And I think that, that's something that I would look to. I think with Bama, it's going to be interesting. I mean, a lot of people, and I fell into this trap as well of thinking, well, it's got to be Tyler Buchner if Tommy Rees is there. A buddy of mine, when I brought that up, was really quick to say, It was Tommy Reese that went out and got Sam Hartman, too. So, I mean, just kind of goes to show you it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Buckner. But,
right.
I think he probably looked at his situation at Notre Dame and looked at the situation at Bama and said, let me at least give myself an opportunity where he knew he wasn't going to start at Notre Dame. That's Sam Hartman's job, rib necklace and everything and all of that kind of goofy stuff that he has going on up there. But, it's going to be interesting from that perspective. I mean, I've seen the workout videos of Ty Simpson out there, so he's putting in the work, and Jalen Milroe as well, I'm sure, probably is saying, no, I'm still very much in this thing. So they're going to have their pick of 3 good guys to look to. There's no doubt about that.
Well, speaking of good guys, Dan Matthews, Chuck Oliver will be on this station at 10 a.m. We will look forward to seeing you guys, brother, and thanks for coming by.
Awesome. Hey, appreciate it, guys.
Let's get a break in from day one of SEC Media Days, brought to you again by Bryant Bank, your local small-town bank.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
It's still AFB, right? For you? WAFB?
We're always fucking broke. That's how you remember. WAFB. Yeah. We're always effing.
Hey.
That's fantastic. Or Air Force Base, if you want to.
Yeah, I like the other one better.
So you do this morning thing? Yeah.
Oh, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out at SEC Media Days, day one. Again, day one of our show brought to you by Bryant Bank. Their local bankers put care into action. We could not be here without them. We could not be here also without University Kia and our good man Arthur Seaton helping us get here with the four wheels.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. Bailey, we have nicknamed the car G.I. Joe because it is a tank and it is green. And
yes.
I mean, it is a tank. But anyway, we are here at SEC Media Days. Brian Kelly will be here later this morning with his LSU Tigers. A lot of expectations on said Tigers.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot of expectations. LSU, it'll be first or second. That'll be the pick, man. I mean, a lot of people are thinking first. It may very well be. We've already talked Jaden Daniels with Dan Matthews. We're going to talk some more LSU with a fixture. WAFB's Jacques Doucette. He's been there, I believe. Is this 22nd year now?
I started in March of 2001. So, yeah, I guess I've been there 22 years.
Well, we counted it up better than we did Nick Saban this morning.
We did.
So
we
were trying to figure that out. But a big year for LSU, a lot of expectations. It's been a great spring for LSU because you've been on the road watching two squads win national championships.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to sit and think about it. You know, covering Kim Mulkey alone is a big thrill, and that's a lot of fun to cover a Hall of Famer like that. It's never boring. They could be playing the University of the North Pole, and I would go to the press conference because she'll probably say something that's get people's attention, right? And how women's sports have come along so much with NIL and their stardom, and they're staying in school because there's no money in the WNBA. And
that's true.
And then straight into baseball, and for Jay Johnson in his second year to win a national title. A lot of amazing plays had to come together for them to do that, despite all the talent they had. And so 2 weeks in Omaha, LSU fans took over the city for sure. And then come home, and you're home for a couple weeks, and here we are to start football talking season, and it's crazy. One of the great things about LSU winning the national championship in baseball is that the wait for football has been cut down a lot. They ate up the entire month of June, and here we are just a couple weeks away from them going to practice.
Well, Brian Kelly and LSU are going to be favorites, you think, in the West?
I agree with what he was saying. I think it's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be LSU and Alabama toss-up. A big difference from a year ago when they came here. LSU was picked 5th in the West a year ago. I think Vegas had them at 6 wins, 6.5 total, something like that. They surprised a lot of people. They also showed their warts along the way. The Texas A&M regular season finale, they got punched in the mouth, and then the SEC championship game, Georgia certainly flexed on them. So a nice ending to the year with the bowl win that they had, and the LSU-Alabama game obviously is in Tuscaloosa this year. The last 2 times LSU's gone over there, they've won in 2019, and then they were a 28-point underdog in 21, and Alabama hung on to win by 6 points. So LSU's played well over there. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but how many Alabama media are going to be here as opposed to LSU? We'll vote Alabama won, and, Yeah. So I think if you're LSU or Alabama, you wouldn't mind just being picked second.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, but I think Brian Kelly, I thought, and we were just talking to Dan Matthews about this, I thought he had to rebuild his staff because a lot of those guys stayed in Notre Dame. I thought he made 2 really good coordinator hires, especially Matt House, with all because remember, they had Mason Smith for a series. Yeah. And they didn't have him all year. And I thought House, with the way with what they did with Harold Perkins, they got really creative. And I thought he was one of the better DCs in the league last year. He came back from the NFL. He'd been at Kentucky. And I think he's a rising star. I think he's a guy. A lot of people are still talking about Pete Golding and Pete going to Ole Miss and all this stuff, but I think Matt House is a guy to really look at as a future head coach in this league if LSU repeats in the West, because that'll really put the spotlight on him, and they got a chance to be really good on that side of the ball, Jock.
Yeah, I would agree. Certainly, I think there's some parallels with him and Dave Aranda, who was the DC for the 2019 National Championship team. The whole Bo Pelini thing in 20 was very strange. The hire was strange. The money they paid him was strange. All those things.
Yeah.
The money they're still paying him. No, but Dave Aranda, what you'd always hear about him is sometimes his defenses would come out, they'd have a bad half. They give up 250 yardage, 17 points or whatever, and then in the second half they just shut people down. And I think Matt House is very similar in the fact that he makes halftime adjustments, and he's young like Aranda. And I think they got a really good one. I didn't know much about Matt House before he came here. I know he was a Kansas City Chiefs assistant, and certainly Tyrann Mathieu played up there, and some other guys. But I would agree. I think he's a great find for Coach Kelly.
How good can Jaden Daniels be?
That's a good question. It's like this is his 5th year of college football, so it gets to a point where, or is he is what he is, or can he improve some more? And last year, you take a look at, he was voted the team MVP of LSU by his teammates. Certainly in the Alabama game, for years, LSU had the drop-back passer who could never threaten Bama with his legs. And certainly last year, several times the pocket breaks down, he runs and gets big gains, including the touchdown LSU scored in overtime before the 2-point conversion. So he ran for over 800 yards. He is definitely a threat running. The deal is he had 17 touchdown passes in 14 games. And so they want that number up in the 20s. They want him to, there's an old saying, you can't make an omelet if you don't break any eggs. Well, I think for a while he had no interceptions, which that's good, but then it's bad. You're not pushing the ball down the field. Get it to our athletes, so to speak. So I'm excited to have him back. This is the first time LSU has brought a quarterback to SEC Media Day since, I think, Burrow in 19, and then before that it was Zach Mettenberger in 2013. So they don't bring quarterbacks very often. And Brandon Harris, who I'm good friends with, who I consider a friend, a former LSU quarterback, I always joke with him. I said, man, in 2016, LSU was preseason top 5. They had Kendall Beckwith coming back. They had Tre'Davious White coming back. They had a junior starting quarterback coming back and they didn't take you to SEC Media Day. That's a bad sign, Brandon. And so that kind of shows you how the position has struggled at LSU.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think also, too, this Florida State opener is going to be interesting because they kind of made their season by ambushing LSU, but LSU recovered from it until, like you said, really I thought the only step back for them down the stretch was Texas A&M because Tennessee was a great football team. We now understand that.
Yeah.
But this, I got to believe they're going to be motivated to go to Orlando and play well because, again, Florida State's not going to sneak up on anybody now, and LSU is going to be much more comfortable in year 2 with this staff.
Last year, neither of those teams was ranked going into the season opener. The game was not a pretty game. They both kind of wobbled around out there, and then, LSU gets an extra point blocked at the end of regulation to lose, and you walked away saying, man, both of these teams are like 6-6 teams, 7-5, and then they both won 10 games. And I think this time around, they're both going to, LSU, I think, will be ranked 7th, 6th, 8th, something like that nationally. I think Florida State will be right on the verge of top 10, 11, 12, something like that. So I have read that this is the biggest non-conference game of the year in college football. Certainly Alabama hosting Texas, those are some big ones. But this is a big one, no doubt about it. And if you lose it, it takes a while to get that bad taste out of your mouth because you're playing Grambling the next week, and nothing you can do against them will put anybody in a good mood.
Wash away that taste. Yeah, nothing.
So,
well, this is what they're paying Brian Kelly, though, for, right?
Yeah, it was funny when he got the job. I said, I got a chance to sit down with him. I said, well, a lot of people think there's a lot of pressure on you because of the money you're getting paid and whatnot. And then a lot of people say, well, it's 90% guaranteed. How much pressure is there?
Yeah.
Forget about going to the beach. He's going to buy the beach, right? It's as much money as he's going to make. But, last year, and not to be the LSU homer, but I was so over the fake accent and the family thing. I mean, that was the most boring storyline I'd ever heard.
I never bought into that.
Still getting
non-story.
Getting questions about that over here, but the whole fit thing, is he a fit? And I was like, Brian Kelly's the head coach at LSU. This is strange, But I think that they he had some coaches maybe, hey, look, you're going from the freezing north where they're not too friendly to the south. Let's butter you up a little bit, make you a little more friendly. He's dressing a lot better than he used to. It used to be those big coats and everything freezing up there. He's wearing suits and everything now. But I think he's the best coach LSU has had since Saban. But will he win a national championship? That's the big question. You need a lot to fall into place. You need some luck, and the league has never been tougher with the coaches in the league. So I think they're in a great place, and they certainly – Ed Ogeron loved covering him, probably better than any coach I ever covered. Hey, Jock, how's your daddy, man? He's a great guy, but it just went off the rails, and they had to make a change.
Yeah, and don't forget, Notre Dame, they're still a microscope there, so he's used to that stuff with being under a microscope at LSU, and when you're at Notre Dame still, no matter what.
Yeah, and we're probably softball media compared to what he dealt with in Chicago and all that. So it's been good so far. He's got a good staff, and I think he talks about, like a year ago, his first camp, we were talking to guys about how to practice, don't throw your helmet at practice, and then there was a lot less time spent on what they expect and a lot more time, working on football.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks, Jock. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, wrap up hour one of Talking Ball.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talon Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talon Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talon Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talon Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talon Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Short time here left in hour number one, and it is here. It is here. Look at this. So for those that have been paying attention to the show, I told Drew that he needed to try the strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper. The only problem was we could never find it in zero sugar.
Remember, I tried the leaded.
You tried the leaded one and about put you in a coma.
I took 3 sips and I had to go home and mix it with Diet Dr. Pepper.
Well,
Remember?
I am happy to report that here at SEC Media Days, they have 0 sugar strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper.
Yep.
And so
they have Scott's favorite.
They have core
water.
It's bottled water.
Yeah.
And so I usually have about 10 bottled waters a day. And so I am in 7 heaven here because I can just go to the cooler and I can get me a bottled water. And they all of a sudden just decided to put the coffee station literally right in front of us.
Yeah, because Jacques got some.
He did. That was good, though. He gave some good insight to LSU.
And then he did his Coach O impersonation.
That's pretty good.
It was pretty good. He knew his daddy.
That was well.
I'm talking about Coach O knew Jacques' daddy.
I know, but the way you just said it, I knew his daddy. Well, I mean, that was.
Come on.
I know. We can't go there this early. Oh, but Bailey, we're talking about. I mean, Bailey, our tank reminds me of your car, except ours is bigger.
It's the G.I. Joe version, Bailey.
Yeah. There we go.
There it is. I wondered what you were doing, Bailey. Thank you.
There we go. Bailey to the rescue.
There it is.
There. I wasn't thinking enough to do that. But
it's
anyway.
not bad. I just took my first sip. Did you
really?
Wow. There you go, Bailey.
Wow. So there we go.
I even watched all the cartoon movies of that show.
Did you really?
Of course. I was a kid.
Did you watch the latest? Did you watch the latest movies or whatever? The new?
No, I didn't watch the new stuff. Not since I was a kid. Oh, Lord.
Oh, we are almost done with hour 1. When we come back with hour 2, we're going to continue the conversation here from SEC Media Days. And we've talked a lot about LSU because they will garner a lot of attention. And Jacques was right in one aspect. You know, the Alabama media will be here. I mean, if you don't cover LSU extensively and if you don't do a lot of LSU coverage, you're probably going to lean to put Alabama number 1 in the West. Probably. Do you think?
I mean, it'll be really close. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I still think that Alabama will edge out LSU, but it wouldn't shock me if LSU edged out Alabama, especially because of the one thing Jacques was talking about. And it's only the 3rd time since 2013 that they've done it, that they bring a quarterback to SEC Media Days, and they have a quarterback that's proven, and Alabama does not. Okay? But Jaden Daniels beat Bryce Young, and nobody would have thought that, a year ago at this time. Okay?
Right.
There you go. I would give it at least a B+.
A B+?
Yes.
Why not any higher?
Well, I've only taken 2 sips, Scott.
Well, I didn't know. You were adamant on a B+. That's why I went with the B+.
I mean, that's a good rating so far.
Okay, all right. So it has potential to. So it's kind of like a Jaden Daniels.
Now, I don't think I could just shotgun like 10 in a row.
Or it has potential like an Alabama quarterback. You give him a B+ right now.
I'm still riding with Ty Simpson, by the way. I think he's going to step up.
All right. Well, hour 1 is in the books. Don't forget, if you're looking for a bank, let Bryant Bank handle all your needs. When you bring your personal finances to Bryant Bank, it's much more than a place to make financial transactions. It's joining a community bank that greets you by name and treats you like family. It's Bryant Bank, sponsors of Day One.
Good to see you, Sir Ron Higgins.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Brian Bellamy State Farm Insurance, located in the Rosie's Shopping Plaza, strives to help customers find the best auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance, and more. No matter where you are in life, Brian Bellamy State Farm Insurance is here to help you find your best insurance and retirement needs. You can find them on the web at BrianBellamyAgency.com or call them at 256-539-7530. Brian Bellamy State Farm, here to help life go right.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There we go. Hour 2 is officially underway here. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, coming to you live from day 1 of SEC Media Days. And right now, this is probably the calm before the storm for us. Because this is the only day that we come to you live from SEC Media Days really before the event is getting into full swing. There's a lot of people already milling around because brunch, as they're calling it, is served in an hour.
Yeah.
So, well, actually 59 minutes. So that is when brunch is served. So there's a lot of people starting to mill around, a lot of radio shows underway from across the country here along Radio Row. And that
especially
is the thing.
in the Southeast.
Yeah. So that is what's going on right now, because Greg Sankey does not give his State of the SEC speech until 11:35. That is the first time we will hear from him.
After brunch.
Right. And we heard from the Pac-12, well, not Pac-12, we've heard from the Big 12. We heard the Pac-12 commissioner, and basically they attacked Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12 Media Days, and they talked a little bit about the scheduling and the college football playoffs. At 11:35, usually when an SEC commissioner speaks, and it was the great Mike Slive and then Roy Kramer, when they stepped to the podium and they spoke, the rest of the college football world, the rest of the college football country, I mean, everybody listened to what the SEC had to say. What do you think Greg Sankey will say at 11:35 today that the rest of the country is going to take notice with?
Well, I think he'll, he's going to talk about once again being the national champion, and Georgia climbing the mountain and being back-to-back champs and being so impressive in the playoff, especially against Wofford. I mean, TCU. I'm sure that'll be, a talking point, that the continued dominance. Looking forward, this will be the last year of the regular playoff, but looking forward, of course, to the 12-team playoff. And then he'll get questions about the schedule and going forward. I know they're using the 8-1 model right now, but when they're going to decide permanently, and about getting more money for the TV contract from Disney and the ESPN. I still think that'll be a line of questioning as well, because, again, going forward, I still think that 9 will be the answer, even though I know it's kind of a litmus test, though, for a couple of years, because saying he can take a look and see how it affects the SEC as far as how many teams they can get in a 12-team playoff, but I think he's very confident they can get at least 3.
256-576-4977. Reach out. Join us this morning if you have any kind of SEC Media Day questions. What do you expect to hear? What do you want to hear? What do you think you're going to hear as you drive into work on this Monday morning? Going over some of the SEC. Media doesn't always get it right when it comes to the picks, but I think this year will be pretty much.
I mean, Georgia's going to be unanimous in the East.
Yeah, that's why.
I will be shocked if Georgia's not named on every ballot. I mean,
and we've gone
they're
over.
A heavy favorite. I know there'll be a few. Like, we've had a couple people talk about Tennessee, and including our good friend Brett Norsworthy. He may be one of the few that does pick Tennessee to win the East. But I just think overall it's going to be. If it's not unanimous, then I guess it won't be, because Brett is he's a sharp guy. Brett, SEC historian, one of my favorite folks. I still think we're talking about 98 percentile leaning to Georgia, but we'll see how good Tennessee is. Joe Milton, to me, it's going to be one of two things. He's either going to be an all-SEC candidate and a Heisman, contender,
right,
or he's not going to be very good. Nico Iamaleava is going to eventually take over, and Tennessee will still have a good football team, but they'll be like an 8-4 team if Joe Milton is not, Superman. If Joe Milton is that dude, then Tennessee's got a chance to have back-to-back really good seasons.
Well, a lot of people want to talk and look at Georgia's schedule for 2023 and say it's going to be a snore.
Right.
It's going to be a snore or a
On
sleeper.
On paper, it sets up great.
Yeah, well, because you host UT Martin, you host Ball State, you host South Carolina, you host UAB. Those are the first 4 games for Georgia out of the gates. And then you go to Auburn on September 30th, but then you are in Athens for Kentucky on October 7th. You go to Nashville before your bye week on October 14th. You come out of your bye week, travel to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville, and then you finish with Missouri at home, Ole Miss at home, and then you go to Knoxville, and then you finish with Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So really, if you are Georgia, you do not leave really within 4 hours of your stadium. Mm-hmm. Nashville will be a bigger trip, but it is.
That's going to be all dog fans.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like
really,
a home game.
Really, if you're Georgia,
the most dangerous game to me
is in Tennessee.
Yeah. It's going to be in Knoxville, and we'll see how good the Vols are, but that's going to be a dangerous game, no doubt.
All right, so it'll be a little bit before we hear from Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll hear from them tomorrow morning. In fact, tomorrow morning we will have Kirby Smart for you at 10:30. Tomorrow morning at 9:05, we will have Clark Lee with us right here over the airwaves of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. So get ready for that. And then on Wednesday morning, make sure you have the 97.7 ESPN, the app, downloaded in your phone, because at 9:05, Nick Saban will be over our airwaves at 9:05 Wednesday morning. So make sure you have the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app downloaded, because at 9:05, a lot of you will be at work already. So you want to make sure you slip in that earbud and listen to Nick Saban via the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app. And then on Thursday morning at 9:05, mark your calendars, because Lane Kiffin will be over our airways live at 9:05 on Thursday morning.
Yep, Lane Kiffin. He's never boring, Scott. And the Lane train. And then tomorrow at 9:05, I believe it's Clark Lee.
Yeah, that's
who will be joining being at the podium, and so we'll have a listen to Clark as well. Always an impressive guy. He's trying to rebuild a program like Vanderbilt's never easy. I thought they showed improvement last year, and so we'll see in year 3 if they can make that leap and maybe get to a bowl game, because that's what they're shooting for.
Brett Drinkard on Facebook asking us a question this morning, and you can also join us on Facebook if you would like throughout the show. You can also join us over on Twitter at 977 ESPN. He says, what do you all think? And I'm trying to.
It looks like it's about Jalen Crawford.
Yes.
From Parkview High School. It's a DB that committed to Auburn, 4-star. One of their better commitments. They certainly busted their tail to outmaneuver the Gators and others to get him committed this past weekend. And they did that. So Jalen Crawford, coming out of the weekend, Scott, is Auburn's latest commitment for Hugh Freeze and his staff ahead of Big Cat. Remember, Big Cat weekend is at the end of this month, which is a major event for Auburn that they're trying to re-energize. It had gone stale under Brian Harsin, but it should be a packed event. Should give them a chance to set the groundwork for more additions to the recruiting class. But Jalen Crawford is someone they had focused on for a while. And, Zach Etheridge and Hugh Freeze's staff. Zach Etheridge, of course, as you know, is retained. And they were able to secure a commitment from Jalen Crawford, who's a really good corner with a lot of tools.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. Feel free to reach out to us. It is day one of SEC Media Days here in Nashville, of course. Last year we were in Atlanta, the year before that in Hoover. So we have rotated around a little bit. Now we find our first time here in Nashville. Again, Brian Kelly will be here later today. Then Jimbo Fisher and Eli Drinkwitz. Those are who we get today. Texas A&M. It'll be interesting to see what Jimbo Fisher has to say. I am intrigued by that because last year, remember, a lot of people were anxious to hear from Jimbo Fisher because there was some off-the-field problems leading into SEC Media Days.
I mean, he basically lied through his teeth. I mean, he took a direct shot at Nick Saban. He called him a narcissist. He basically said Nick Saban was cheating and basically tried to deny his program had, even though NIL was becoming a major factor. But, you know, and then you also had the controversy of his staff member showing recruits around, member pointing to the luxury boxes and saying these are the people that are going to pay you to come here. And that was caught on camera, and, of course, he denied it. But, again, he did a lot of that to himself, though. I mean, he set himself up for failure. He really ruined their season before it ever started, okay, with the way they handled the offseason. And they had signed, remember, the highest-ranked recruiting class ever.
Right.
But there was a lot of strife. You bring in a guy like Evan Stewart, who's going to still be a great player, I think. But, you know, it's pretty well known that he was making more money than almost any offensive player on that team. And he had never played it down, okay? And there's going to be resentment on a football team, especially when you got a guy like Devon Achane. Now, we don't know what he made in NIL, but, I mean, he was a stud. And that football team, it just wasn't right from the jump. I mean, they were talented. They were supremely talented. But as soon as you saw them against Appalachian State, and we talk about that, we talked about that with Dan Matthews earlier in the show, they just weren't right. I mean, they were getting pushed around. That kind of talent along the D-line, Scott, getting pushed around by Appalachian State. And they did, and it was not a fluke. Appalachian just dominated the trenches in that game. And pretty much after it was over, you knew A&M was done. I mean, I didn't think there was any way that Jimbo would be able to reach that squad. He didn't, and they ended up going 5-7. And if it wasn't for them finally putting it all together and beating a really good LSU team late, they would have finished 4-8 and below Vanderbilt. But they finally put it all together and showed their potential. And that's the last time we really saw A&M. So I'm anxious to see what they look like going forward because they're still very talented.
All right, let's go to Jeremy on the phone lines this morning. Good morning, Jeremy.
Well, Jeremy, here's the other question, too, though. Did he go to Georgia for free? And that was pre-NIL. Well, I mean, I think that with recruiting classes, they should start to make an impact by their second year, because you got to understand by their third year, if they're making the impact, that if they're elite, then they're going to the NFL. So by the second year, you should start seeing some of those guys and the cream rise to the top. So some of those guys that are left at A&M, that's why I think they're a big-time sleeper team, and they could rise up and become a contender in the West because they're still very, very, very talented.
Well, and if it's like they were last year, the common factor in that is it's Jimbo Fisher. The talent's there. Everything is there for Texas A&M. Then it is truly Jimbo Fisher failing to coach this team up and get them where they need to be.
Well, I've always made the joke, Jeremy, about his playbook. They haven't changed the date from 1998, and we'll see if Bobby Petrino can help with that, with the creativity and the quarterback development. No doubt about it, because Connor Wegman's a really talented kid, great arm talent. They've got Stewart, and they've got the young freshman running back as well. A-Chain is a big loss because A-Chain gave them big playability in the kicking game and at the running back spot. I really don't think he's given enough credit. But Reuben Owens could have some things to say about it at the running back spot. And also, Scott's already brought him up, but it seems like he's been there for 15 years. But Aniyah Smith, back from injury, and he's another guy that can make plays both in the kicking game and in three areas. You can throw it to him, he can run the ball, and he can return kicks. So he's very dangerous, and that's what makes A&M a team to watch.
All right, Jeremy, thanks for the phone call, Bubba. We are up against a break. Good stuff there.
Appreciate it.
Good stuff. Let's get that break in. We're live from SEC Media Days 2023, courtesy of our good friends Bryant Bank.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear. Give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Qualis Corporation.
Brian Bellamy, State Farm.
The game is powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota.
What's better than Valley Equipment?
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery,
Hi, there we go. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Welcome back into the program, 256-576-4977. That's how you can get a hold of us here in Nashville. And that is exactly what we're going to do coming out of the break. Robert is with us this morning. Good morning, Robert.
What's up, Robert? Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got you.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree. I mean, because as soon as Francois went down against Alabama, that cratered that whole team. He was already into it with the administration, but once his quarterback, was injured, it was almost like he was disinterested in that team. And I'll never forget that. And then the whole bowl situation was bizarre, and they basically told him to leave because they knew he was on his way out. And so he left that program in a shambles. Then Florida State, they made a bad hire with Willie Taggart. And now and again, that happens. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen Alabama make hires like that. You just have to clean it up. But it looks like Mike Norvell is going to. Now, there were people that weren't on his side going into last year, but they started making big-time strides, and he has been one of these guys that's mastered the portal a little bit and the secret sauce and how to build a team and make and chemistry-wise. And then now you're starting to see the recruiting as far as in the state of Florida pick up because Dan Mullen whiffed and missed a golden opportunity when Miami and you guys were down, the Noles were down, to take control of the state of Florida. Now, Billy Napier's trying to get it back, but now it's like a three-team dance because Mario can recruit. But the great thing about the state of Florida is there's enough players for all three of those programs, plus Alabama and some more. I mean, the thing is, if you're a good football coach, you can win at those schools if you have the kind of administrative support you need. And, we'll see if the programs do. I think Florida State's on the right track, though. I'm fascinated to see how they look against LSU and Orlando. Oh, so you think you're talking about Nussmeier? Yeah, because he played a lot against Georgia.
Daniels.
Yeah, he's talking about the way Nussmeier threw the ball against Georgia.
Right. We'll just have to wait and see. Great stuff there, Robert. Thanks for the phone call.
Appreciate it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, that's going to be an interesting game because we talk a lot about Auburn and the fact that we don't know what to expect because Hugh Freeze has had to bring in so many new faces.
And Deion's brought
Colorado has had to bring in twice as many, or not had to, chose to bring in twice as many new faces to overhaul the roster.
They've turned over nearly 2/3 of their roster.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what to expect. I don't know. I don't know if I would put any money on that one because I don't know what to even think about that because TCU has a new quarterback. TCU has some new players, a new offensive system. How fast are they going to be able to come up to speed with the new offensive coordinator? We don't know what Colorado's going to look like offensively or defensively.
Well, the thing is, though, Deion's very confident, and I know he's confident in Shedeur, his son, but that's a big jump when you're going from Jackson State to Colorado.
Oh, it's a huge jump.
And I want to see how he throws the ball in a Power 5 game. And don't forget, remember we had Chris Hummer on last week, and Robert, you may have heard that. Chris Hummer was talking about how good Trey Sanders looks. I'm just telling you, if Trey Sanders is right now that he's left Alabama, just like Drew Sanders, no relation, went to Arkansas, and I had a feeling he was going to show out and have a good year with the Hogs. I think Trey Sanders, now that he's healthy after the car accident and the way they ran the ball last year, and Kendall Browse will run it even more at TCU. Colorado, they better get ready. They're going to have their oil checked early in that game.
All right, Robert. All right, Rob, thanks for the phone call. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get one more in here before the break. Brandon's with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning. We saw it. We did not get on it.
We did not. We chose to stay in the hotel last night and enjoyed a rather eventful dinner.
We did. We had a nice dinner.
Cheech and Chong were there.
Yeah,
literally.
We'll tell you that story later.
But yes.
And we mean literally the real Cheech almost. I mean,
pretty much.
Or at least his brother.
Pretty much.
And Scott talked him up on the elevator and at the bar.
Well, I didn't have a choice on the elevator.
No, exactly. Because he thought Scott was a high school basketball player.
And he had nicknamed our team the Guardians.
Hey, just remember when I say the word high, and we'll tell you about that later.
Oh, boy. Well, the dude was higher than can be. That dude was high as a kite.
We said Cheech. Come on, he knows what we're talking about.
Well, everybody else may not, but that dude was whew.
We had an eventful night. We heard the train a-coming. We were long since inside by then, brother.
Yes. Johnny Cash was playing loud and clear.
Oh, yeah. On overdrive. Well, Scott wanted to take a scooter if we had to.
No, just anywhere. Yeah, I was up
everywhere.
for it. I was up for it.
Yeah, because right out of our window you can see Nissan Stadium, and we could run across the street, across the parking lot. Yeah. Yeah, we are. You're talking about Alabama, right? Yeah, well, they got Trey Amos, who's coming in from Louisiana Lafayette. He's gonna help at corner, no doubt about that. And then of course, they continue to try to build their depth back up. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I tell you what, let's hit the pause. Brandon, thanks for the phone call, but we hate to do this to you, but this is kind of how we got to free flow it here. Let's get a 2-minute break in, because when we come back, we got to bring in
Brian Haydad.
We got to bring in, yep. And so we're going to get a break in, and then we're going to bring in our next guest.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talon Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talon Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talon Heating and Air a call, because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talon Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talon Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
So remember, we have 2 commercials playing in our ear all week. We got the streaming commercials and then the over-the-air commercials. Indeed, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out. SEC Media Days, day 1 again. 11:35. Greg Sankey will introduce and kick everything off. And then we're going to get LSU, Texas A&M, and Missouri here from Nashville in the Music City. So a lot of sweet tunes are going to be played.
Yeah, they
today.
are. And more sweet stuff. They're not happening today, but Mississippi State's extremely interesting story. One of our favorites is here. We're getting some FaceTime with him. He's on with Richard Cross, 3 to 6, Super Talk Mississippi. Brian Haydad's with us. Brian, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? It's good to be here in Nashville with y'all.
I know.
How intriguing.
You ready for Dallas next year?
Oh, boy.
Dallas it's fine. I can live in Dallas.
We think we're going there.
That's the rumor. Then the other rumor is 2 years from now we're in St. Louis.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Can you imagine? I don't know about that one.
I don't even know.
That's a stretch. Now, look, I've been to St. Louis a bunch because it's a pit stop on the way home up to Iowa. So I've been there.
He went to Northern Iowa.
Okay. Fine for me. I mean, that just puts me 4 hours away from my house. But still, though, I don't.
We'll
that's
see.
totally out of the blueprint.
Maybe they might have one station here then, because they don't have any. I don't think. We're joking about Missouri.
Yeah,
you know. But we are excited about Mississippi State. And Brian, are they the most intriguing team maybe this week?
Well, obviously, and I'm very interested to see if the commissioner, when his opening statements, makes a talk about Mike Leach a little bit.
Right.
Good point. I'm certain there'll be something done there. But I feel like there's just a lot of unknown outside of Mississippi State about Mississippi State. In Starkville, we've gotten to know Zach Arnett. We get to see how he's running his program. And he and Leach are really cut from the same cloth. Now, they are, outside of football, totally different people. You're not going to sit down with Zach Arnett and talk about aliens and Bigfoot for 30, 40 minutes.
Or pirates.
Right.
No, when we ask him a football question, we're going to get a football answer with Zach Arnett. But the way they run their programs in terms of toughness, discipline, and what they want to achieve on the field, very similar guys. So in Starkville, I think people are kind of optimistic. Outside, I fully expect State to be picked dead last in the West when we get the ballots in.
That's why I'm going to ask you. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Mississippi State tends to get picked last. Mm-hmm. They never finish last.
Right. They were picked last year and finished third.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This is a team that won 9 games last year. They return a ton of production, including maybe the most experienced quarterback in the conference. Yeah, they're changing up their offense, but Arnett will tell you that it's not like they're going. And he made fun of me about this because I made the comment, big change in an interview, and he's like, big change. It's not like they're running the wishbone. They're still going to run. They're still going to throw the ball, but they're going to run the ball more. And if you watch them last year, they were a lot more successful when they ran the ball. When they gave the ball to Dylan Johnson and Woody Marks, that's when that offense really flowed and allowed Will to have time to throw and not see those 8-man coverages all the time. So, and defensively, they bring back a lot of guys. They got to replace Emmanuel Forbes, but they've done really well in the portal, picking out secondary guys the past couple years. Got a guy from Alabama, Marcus Banks, who I expect to start this year.
I really liked Banks. I thought he left too early, but again, that's State's
he'll be a starting safety or corner for State this year.
Nice.
Well, Jaden Daniels is here today.
Yeah.
For the quarterback side, and we were talking about it. We were like, look, the Pac-12 has all the quarterback names this year. Mm-hmm. You look at the Southeastern Conference, the premier football conference in America, and Jaden Daniels is the name that gets mentioned. Mm-hmm. But Will Rogers is right there.
Yeah.
But is it because of the offense he played in with Mike Leach, the numbers and everything that come with that offense? Is that why when we sit here and talk about how good the quarterbacks can be, we don't mention his name a lot?
The system quarterback thing is a real thing for Will. And I'll say this, and I've asked a lot of national media this question, that if Leach were still here, what would you think of this team? And with what they bring back and Will Rogers in a 4th year of the air raid, I think this might be a preseason top 25 team.
Okay.
But I think they could have been picked 3rd in the West.
They could have been. But with Arnett out, Arnett in, people just don't know enough. And with Rogers, mean, there's nothing he hasn't seen. Defensively, there's nothing you can throw at him that he hasn't seen.
Right.
He's got playmakers around him. He's got a good offensive line in front of him. Everything's set up for him to be successful this year. It's just going to be on him. So for him, if he comes out this year and has a big year, he sheds that label of system quarterback. He becomes a guy that NFL teams can look at and say, okay, it's not just an air raid thing. He's actually a good quarterback. He's got to show off the arm this year. And if you watch State's spring game, he had 3 or 4 throws, 50 yards down the field, and that was an issue for State. But, you know, when you play in the air raid and everybody's dropping into coverage and everybody's running 2 deep safeties, you can't throw the ball down the field very much. And so Rodgers would just take what he could get, and he was very successful.
Well, and for you, I know they also had some guys that left, especially on the receiver spot, though. But as far as for State, you know that roster better than anybody. We all look at Will, but who's somebody else that we're not looking at that we need to start, keeping in mind?
I would think people are looking at Tulu Griffin, who might be the best return man in the country. That's a guy that if you kick the ball to him, you have a really good chance it's going back the other way. And they have Xavion Thomas as well, who returned a punt for a touchdown against Georgia. Those 2 guys might be the best 2 return men in the conference. And so for State, a team that, is going to try to figure some things out offensively, they're very good defensively, I think. The ability to control some field position is going to be big for them. And then you got Woody Marks, who, has been, a part of the tag team with Dylan Johnson, who transferred out. He's at Washington now.
Yeah.
And now he's finally going to be a guy who gets 15, 20 carries in a football game as opposed to getting 7, 8 carries and 7, 8 catches. He'll still catch the ball 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times a game. But now he's going to get to show himself off as a running back. So Woody Marks, by the end of the season, could be one of the better running backs in the conference.
We focus a lot of offense on Mississippi State because Mike Leach was offensive-minded. And I do want to get to the defense, but you also brought up something about the running game. Should Mississippi State fans get to know their running back again?
Yeah, it's so weird. You think about State through the years, right? Always a running team. Always a running team. And these last 3 years, it would warp your mind to watch, and you're just like, they're throwing the ball every play. Yes, this is a year where State, you're gonna see more running backs. Marks is going to do a lot. They brought in a transfer from Penn State, Kevon Lee, who they think can replace Dylan Johnson. They recruited a junior college running back, Jeffrey Pittman, who had a really good spring game, and they like him a lot. So those guys are they're going to see a lot of carries. Kevin Barbay's offense last year, I think he had 4 rushers with over 400 yards rushing. I think they're going to split carries up like that again.
Well, and defensively, Zach was a wizard. I thought I enjoyed the loyalty he showed Leach because he had opportunities to leave. But as you've gotten to know him over the years, and now he's transitioned to the head coach, is he still going to be heavy-handed defensively, or is he going to let his linebackers coach he promoted go?
Matt Brock will be the defensive coordinator for sure. He'll certainly, I always remember something that Joe Moorhead said. He's like, I have 51% of the vote. And so I think with Arnett, he's going to let Brock go, but he'll have his input for sure. And I think Brock was a good up-and-coming coach for sure. And you mentioned, the loyalty to Leach. I think a lot of that for Arnett was Leach just left him alone.
Right.
He's like, this is your defense. I don't want to do anything with it. And it's kind of funny. I asked him about, okay, so are you going to give Barbay the same freedom? He's like, I know nothing about offense. Never coached it. Why would I get involved? So he's going to offer that same kind of freedom to Kevin Barbay. So that should be a very interesting dynamic for Mississippi State.
Interesting. So if you put Mississippi State, are you going to put them down to the bottom? And how – because we talked about the West, and we said Alabama and LSU probably right now 1 and 2. Some people are going to put 1, 2, 2, 1. I mean, it's interchangeable. But the West right now is so wide open, I think, beyond that. Texas A&M should be 3.
Yes.
You would think if they played to their potential and get out of their own way, they could be 3. But behind that, where do you go with the West?
So I'm going to have State 4th on my ballot.
Okay.
I have exactly what you said. I've talked myself into LSU at 1. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know. Your listeners are probably not happy with that, but I've talked myself into it. Right. Alabama 2, A&M 3rd. They're just so talented. I feel like it's going to happen at some point.
It's got to happen.
And then, like you said, it's kind of a jumble there. I think State 4, Ole Miss 5. And then I'm loath to put Arkansas last because KJ Jefferson is one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, and usually that's enough.
And they got Rocket Sanders.
But they got a lot of holes on that team.
They do.
And then Auburn, I feel like Auburn's a year away. I know Hugh Freeze covered him, when he's here in Mississippi. He'll get that thing going, but just not this year.
Okay.
So, but for State, they have 8 home games. All 4 of their road games are toss-ups. They're at South Carolina, at Auburn, at Arkansas, at Texas A&M. But if you split those and you lose to LSU and Alabama at home, you're 8-4.
Yeah.
And I think that's a realistic thing for Mississippi State.
Well, great stuff, man.
That's why they never finished last.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you look at that schedule, and now you make a case for Mississippi State not to finish last. Way to make the West more murky for us.
Thank you,
That's
Brian.
why I'm here.
Have a great show, brother.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Let's get a break in. More Talking Ball live from SEC Media Days coming up next.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Brian Bellamy State Farm Insurance, located in the Rosie's Shopping Plaza, strives to help customers find the best auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance, and more. No matter where you are in life, Brian Bellamy State Farm Insurance is here to help you find your best insurance and retirement needs. You can find them on the web at brianbellamyagency.com or call them at 256-539-7530. Brian Bellamy State Farm, here to help life go right.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There you go. Welcome back. Just like that, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out on a Monday morning, a beautiful Monday morning it is. We're live from SEC Media Days 2023 here at the Grand Hyatt, downtown Nashville. And we mentioned LSU, Texas A&M, and Missouri, the three schools to kick things off today. Coming up at about 11:35, Greg Sankey will really get things underway, and then Brian Kelly will follow one Greg Sankey.
Yeah, he will, and we're going to catch up with one of my favorite guys. It's year 9 for me, but I met him many years ago in Hoover, Alabama, and he's continued to rise in the profession. Now got his imprint all over the state of Louisiana, but it's after further review, AFR, and that's going to be from 3 to 6. That's Matt Moscona. What's up?
Gents, it's great to see y'all, man. One of my favorite things about coming here, I'm sure y'all would agree, it's just getting to see familiar faces and people who we've gotten to know and appreciate and respect over the years. So great to see you guys.
It really is, and the tenor has changed so much because there was uncertainty with LSU last year when we were here. We talked about that. LSU, I believe they were going to finish in the top 2. I thought they would overachieve because I thought coaching mattered. It did, and they did more than that. They won the division, and now they're coming in probably going to be the favorite after this week. I think it's going to be really close between Alabama and LSU, but it would not shock me if LSU is the pick.
And I've given you your bouquets because if y'all remember, the talking point here last year in Atlanta was everyone knew Georgia in the East and everyone thought Bama in the West. And the question was who was going to be second in both divisions. That was the big thing. Could Kentucky or obviously Tennessee made the big jump. But I'll give you credit. Drew, you were one you were high on LSU. I thought Brian Kelly had a year ago a higher floor than most people thought. I didn't see the 5-7, 6-6 that some thought. I thought the ceiling would be low. I thought the ceiling was 9-3, which they hit. This year is just dramatically different. The conversation, guys, last year, you don't know how it goes. You come on Radio Row and you go, like on LSU Day. I'll do more interviews today than any other day combined, all the other days combined. And the questions I got last year from everybody was the family thing, the spinning camera, the fit with Brian Kelly. Well, when you win 9 games and you beat Bama or 10 games, you beat Bama and you win the West and you're in Atlanta, like the conversation changed. Like, oh, okay, no, this is going to work. Like now he's put everybody on alert. Now it's okay. Well, if that ceiling raises, now what is it? Like, is this team actually capable of winning a national championship? It makes them a fascinating talking point this year.
Well, they got Jaden Daniels back at quarterback. You got some defensive pieces that are back as well. The offensive line, the defensive line, I mean, those were big questions last year. Now, I mean, we're not asking a lot of those same questions. Now it's, can they go out and perform like they did last year? And if they did, well, can they get 1 or 2 more wins?
Yeah, I think the quarterback part of that equation is the most fascinating because, guys, I don't know if y'all agree with this. I think this is the worst quarterback league in the SEC probably since 2014.
We've talked about that leading into this whole event.
And isn't the fact that there's only 5 quarterbacks coming this year, isn't that sort of representative of that? Normally, who you bring to media days so often is a good reflection of the status of your program.
We talked about that. One of those 5 are going to have to be first-team quarterbacks on a ballot.
Yes.
And are you confident that one of those 5 are the best quarterbacks? The SEC is the best conference in America, and quarterbacks usually are the best in the league in college football. Are we confident that one of those 5 are the best in college football?
Well, no, because I think Caleb Williams and Drake May and Michael Penix. I mean, you got some spectacular quarterbacks in the country, which it's odd, guys, because as depleted, I think, as the quarterback rooms in the SEC are right now. I think nationally, like when we get to the draft next spring, it may be the deepest quarterback draft we've seen in 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think anybody here is necessarily concerned about Michael Penix or Caleb Williams today. Right. It's going to be like, who are going to be the guys that drive the biggest games in the league? And I really think that the conversation starts with KJ Jefferson, Jaden Daniels, Jaden KJ, in whichever order it goes. And if those guys stay healthy and play at their max level, I don't think KJ has enough talent around him to be competitive in the West. But if Jaden can do that, then I think LSU should win the West. We'll have a great chance to beat Georgia and Atlanta. and play for a national championship.
Well, and I love your cut-ups, on Instagram, and you guys really turned me on to him, and I started watching him so much, and I've made this statement already today. This is my bold say for LSU this year. I think the next superstar coordinator in this league is Matt House because of what he did a year ago. I didn't know. I knew he was at Kentucky and done a solid job. He'd been in the NFL, but what he did last year, especially losing Mason in one series, I thought it was wizardry. The way he used Harold Perkins, I know you guys were really admired what he did, especially the adjustments he made on the fly during games. But now he'll have even better material. I think he's a superstar myself, a rising one.
He was really good at Kentucky. The problem is when you're at Kentucky, you don't get noticed.
There you go.
You remember the year where Josh Allen, the end from Kentucky, had like 19 sacks?
Yeah, that's right.
He was the coordinator. So the whole thing was he was using Harold Perkins
the same way
in that jack spot. So it went to the Kansas City Chiefs and did a really nice job there. Matt House, he'll be a head coach eventually. He's on that trajectory, but he is a really, really good young defensive coordinator. And you're right. I've told people this, and they always kind of like you almost like you're blown away when you hear this. LSU rotated 3 defensive tackles last year. 3.
Wow.
They played three defensive tackles. Mekhi Wingo, who's going to be here today, never came off the field. It was, you said wizardry, Drew, kind of. I
thought so.
With the lack of personnel for them to be, they weren't a dominant defense, but they were good enough to win and to complement the offense. So they are deeper. They hit the transfer portal hard for interior defensive linemen this year. You do get Mason Smith back healthy. The big questions, guys, there's 2 defensively. Cornerback, you brought in 4. You're completely new there. You brought in 4 new guys. You returned 1 scholarship cornerback, 1. You're probably more talented than you were a year ago because of the guys you got out of the portal, but you just don't know who's going to win jobs. And then rush in. Losing B.J. Ojolari was big. They're moving Harold Perkins inside. They brought in some transfers, got him Braden Swinson from Oregon, who's an athletic edge. They got him Ovi Agofu, who, how about this? He's a 6-year guy. Started his career at Notre Dame with Brian Kelly. Then went to Texas, and now is at LSU. How about that helmet room? Notre Dame, Texas, LSU.
Don't see that much.
Wow.
That's nuts.
So Ovi Agofu is a 6-year guy who rushed the edge for him. But they're just going to have guys do it that you haven't seen do it before.
How secretly motivated do you think they are to get to Florida State again? Because I know they feel like they let it get away.
Ain't secret, man. Go. You mentioned my TikToks or my
and Instagram.
Go look. So I had a chance to sit down a couple weeks ago with Mason Smith.
Yeah, I saw some of that. That was good stuff.
I asked him about Florida State, and he prefaced the answer with, "I probably shouldn't say this, but." And when that comes out, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said they felt like they gave that game away a year ago. As badly as they played, they were still right there. But guys, if we're really going to have a conversation this year about LSU being a national championship contender, which I think they can be, they have to win game 1.
Yes.
Because if you lose to Florida State, you've left yourself no margin, and you have to go to Tuscaloosa because we've never seen a 2-loss team make the playoffs. So if you lose the opener, you can't lose again.
It's going to be a long way.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Matt.
Yep,
we really appreciate it. Have a great show later today, and BK going to be here.
All right, guys.
Been a long summer for you, though, too. Baseball National
fun
Championship.
Fun spring.
Fun, eventful.
To be Matt Moscona.
No. Hey, man. Baseball gets me through June. I'm fired up.
No doubt.
All right.
Thank
Gotta
you,
get
sir.
that break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball live from SEC Media Days 2023.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talon Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talon Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear. Give Talon Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville.
And there we go. Hour number 3. We're not used to saying that.
Yeah, we did 2.5 last year. Now we're doing 3.
Yeah, now we're doing 3. But this is hour 3 of Talking Ball, coming to you live from SEC Media Days 2023. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out inside the Grand Hyatt Hotel, where everything will get underway. Greg Sankey again, 11:35. We'll kick things off. Brian Kelly will go later in the day. Jimbo Fisher will go later in the day. Eli Drinkwitz. So you got LSU, Texas A&M, Missouri, all here on day one.
And now we have one of our favorite guys. He joins us
a lot
of times weekly during college football season, but he's on the move a lot. And we always call it Pate State material. It is the one and only Josh Pate at 24/7 Sports and CBS, college football czar, as I like to call him. What's up, man?
I made a move right over to the only table that's really looking like it's popping over here right now.
Hey,
this is the table to be at, apparently.
Everybody else is all crowded. We just kind of took over the corner.
So we could see everything.
So we could,
It's nice. If you really got a panorama, there's just a staggering amount of construction that's on backdrop right now.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Yeah, we found it outside, and it was not pretty trying to get around.
I would advise the audience, forget about public opinion. You need to treat yourself like downtown Nashville, Tennessee, and never stop working on yourself. No matter how much it inconveniences everyone around you, never stop working on yourself. That's exactly the spirit of this city right now.
Well, we envy you anyway because you can sleep in your own bed this week.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? You're not getting an invite, but it is.
There it is. We weren't going there, but hey,
Well, you have been busy. You've not been in your bed though. You've taken Pate State and you've gone out this summer and visited a few campuses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, we went up to Penn State about probably 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting program. Went down to Miami. It's not always just let's go to the biggest places. It's I want to go to the most interesting places, and both of those right now, whether it's Penn State, kind of on the brink of doing some stuff that half the college football public doesn't think they can do, and then certainly Miami, you hire a top caliber staff, at least in terms of finance,
right?
And they deliver a very, very poor result on the field, and then you go down there and that staff is willing to peel back the curtain for you, let you in, spend multiple days there. And number one, it's always crazy. It's like kicking over an ant bed when you really get to see inside a college football program. And it makes you admire what someone like Nick Saban has done more so than you ever could just from the outside. But the other part of it is how hard it is to change the way people think and how hard it is to change culture. Everyone talks about culture, and it for good reason. It's very important. But to see one in the process of attempting to be changed instead of seeing one that is already at its apex, you go to Georgia, you go to Bama, Ohio State, those folks got it rolling. It's always fascinating to me to see behind the scenes of someone who is attempting to
try to build it.
to turn the Titanic in a harbor, so to speak. That's a lot of sleepless nights for a coaching staff. And if they're willing to show you that, it is very rare and eye-opening.
Well, and you got a chance to talk to Mario about that. And, of course, he was heavily influenced by Coach Saban, worked for him. How much did he bring him up and trying to kind of lay the same foundation that he is, but knowing that he's got a lot to work on?
A whole lot. And he was even like that at his time at Oregon.
Right.
I remember we had him on one time, and he actually was in his office and pointed to a whole stack of, spiral notebooks behind him and said, well, those are notes from Alabama. Those are notes from meetings. Those are notes from my time there. And a lot of them A lot of them don't even touch X's and O's. A lot of them talk about organizational. A lot of them talk about how to build a staff, the critical traits you look for in hiring, and they go through like 15 or 20 bullet points before you ever talk about, well, what are we looking for when we're recruiting a left guard? What are we looking for, when we're hiring a play caller? All that stuff, at least I look at as a lot of football-minded people having a pretty good grasp of. How do you build the organization is something, obviously, Nick Saban has come as close to perfecting as you can, and everyone else for a long time has been trying to catch up and hopefully get on the inside like Mario Cristobal did, so you can get a first-hand glimpse of it and then try and go do it yourself.
Well, today we get Brian Kelly and Jimbo Fisher, both coaches trying to build those programs. Brian Kelly got his last year to the SEC West Championship, got him to the championship game. Jimbo Fisher trying to build something. I mean, talent's there, everything's there. Now he's trying to do the coaching staff, bringing in Bobby Petrino. Two different coaches trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, they sure are. Both of them are at a place where losing is not excusable. There's a lot made, especially with this event. This event exists because expectations are so high and interest is so high. And that gets made fun of sometimes.
Right.
And it gets criticized sometimes. It shouldn't always get criticized, because if you're at a place where you as a fan base are being asked to invest and you do it, you show up, you obviously pull out the wallet every time they ask you to. If you give. In any other walk of life, it would be totally normal for you to expect a return on that investment. Yet all of a sudden in college football, when you complain because your guys barely made a bowl last year with all the resources in the world, it's your expectations that are out of whack. That makes no sense to me. So the expectation level is high. At A&M, it should be.
Yeah.
And the difference with maybe Jimbo and, let's say, a Mel Tucker, who also has a massive buyout at Michigan State, is
very true.
Michigan State's got several potentially terminal but at least very serious flaws inside their program. A&M, people in the hiring world would tell you, is a ready-made jet engine that really may only lack at the head coaching position, which is rare because normally it's the head coach that's built the jet engine.
Right.
But out there, it's a multi-layered process. They've got a really good staff. Out of the 100 highest-rated kids A&M has signed in the history of the program, 26 of the top 100 are on campus right now.
Woo.
That's how loaded they are
Still so
relative to
talented.
history. So if that doesn't work out this year, my point is, yeah, the buyout would be at the forefront of the conversation. But if you risk-reward analysis, if you're an A&M donor, if you're a president out there, you look at what could happen with something as simple as a head coaching change, and it's not a rebuild, not even a minor rebuild. And so
you're walking into a lottery situation if you're a head coach.
Sure are.
Is it a fork in the road, that rematch with A&M in Miami, whoever wins it and loses it for this coming season?
So we talked about this on Late Kick last night. I call them hinge games.
Hinge, gotcha.
Just because of how divergent the path is. 4 ways. So Miami wins, loses, A&M wins and loses, and think about how divergent the path is off of that 4 ways. Because the fact is, if they're going to play, we know we're guaranteed a win, we're guaranteed a loss, and we also know A&M after that still has a gauntlet to play. So if they're coming out of that 1-1 before they enter conference play, I would assume they lost the game because of some of the same issues from last year. That gets ugly quick, I think, because the overall dynamic of the reason you brought Bobby Petrino in probably gets a little wobbly pretty quick. But likewise at Miami, they brought in 2 new coordinators. They've got Tyler Van Dyke back and had to fight in NIL to keep him. If the net result is, well, we're just starting off wobbly, again, I keep using that word, but that's exactly how each program would look if they lost. And Miami has got, relative to the ACC, one of the toughest schedules in that conference. It's a hinge game for the same reason that week Texas-Bama's a hinge game, for the same reason that week Ole Miss-Tulane, for the G5 folks, is a hinge game. So, yeah, that week 2 is a really sneaky good slate.
Is Florida State LSU in that conversation as far as hinge games?
I wouldn't call it a hinge as much. I just call it a big game, only because look, if either one of them wins 30-27, you probably look at both of them and say, good effort. Probably still got a heck of a team here. Whoever loses the game, all your goals are in front of you. Your window, your margin for error shrinks dramatically when it comes to playoff contention.
Right.
But, I mean, either one of them wins, the SEC or the ACC, they know they're going to make it in. And they'd still be undefeated in conference play after that. So I don't look at that one as much as a hinge game as I do the ones we were just talking about. Because unless you have a blowout in that game, I don't really think people are coming away from that and, torch in one hand, pitchfork in the other. Changes have to be made.
Well, we know where you're from, and it's just a stone's throw from Auburn. Auburn's polarizing because of how much turnover they've had in their roster. I mean, some people think they could be picked last this week. Some people think they could finish as high as fourth to go 8-4. I think their ceiling's probably 8-4. But I don't think we'll know anything about them until the Cal trip. What is your thoughts on Auburn?
At the earliest, that's when we'll know about them. It may take later than that. I think they're the most probably enigmatic team this year.
That's a good term to use.
And I'd say that, look, given what they did in the portal, if this was Freeze's 5th year as head coach,
right,
and you had this kind of roster turnover, I'd say that. So you have that roster turnover with a new head coach. There's no way Hugh Freeze even knows what he has. Since spring practice wrapped up, they've significantly overhauled the roster. So I also think it'd be short-sighted to draw conclusions about them in week 1, 2, 3. Like that, to me, has all the trappings of a team that all of a sudden finds a gear randomly in early November. And if you have the unfortunate task of playing them later in the year, this is why I don't always believe you are what your record says you are, because you could be playing Auburn second to last week of the year or in the Iron Bowl last week of the year. They're a 3 or 4 loss team, but they're playing at a top 15 caliber level because for whatever reason it just took 2.5 months for them to click. Right. And we see that every year in college football, but the more short-sighted amongst us would just look and say, no, that's a 4-loss team. Well, it's a team with 4 losses. Are they playing at a 4-loss caliber level in November? Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Tennessee is intriguing to me because you have a quarterback in Joe Milton who had the starting job, lost the starting job, stayed, now has the starting job again, still has the strongest arm, and he's got a Josh Heupel offense. Is this a Joe Milton 2.0? Is this the same Joe Milton that we had that lost the job before? I mean, what do we expect?
I do expect an improved product from what we saw.
Right.
Now, I think, maybe Josh Heupel's a miracle worker, and maybe that bowl game is exactly what we get out of him. And if so, Tennessee's a contender for whatever you want to call him a contender for. I was talking to a couple of defensive coaches in the league, in the SEC, about that, and it's so funny because these are 2 respected guys, and they're 2 just totally differing opinions. One of them thinks, that system's going to be just fine for him.
Right.
And then the other one said, look, there's certain things Josh Heupel himself would probably tell you he can't teach, accuracy chief among them. And so if that's a case, then that's kind of a terminal case. You just kind of got what you have to work with, and this is him talking, not me. This whole deal of the next Hendon Hooker, just kind of plug and play, that doesn't happen. Every coach in this league has respect for Hendon Hooker, the ones that faced him last year. So, I know in my state of Tennessee up here right now, it's popular to just say this is going to be plug and play at the quarterback position from here on out, and the Josh Heupel offense is going to roll. It's going to be kind of like Lincoln Riley. It hasn't mattered who played quarterback.
Right.
Difference being, he's had bona fide Heisman caliber guys every single year, and he's recruited them and developed them, Lincoln Riley. If that is what Josh Heupel is, then I guess it's a good time to live in the state of Tennessee. I have confidence in them long term.
Right.
Blindly investing that every year will be like last year is a step. It's one more step than I'm willing to make right now.
Okay. Well, have you made up your mind if you're going to be in Tuscaloosa for Texas? There's a lot of great games that weekend.
Well, there are a lot of good games, Drew. There's only one great game. So yeah, unless there's an ordinance issued, I'll probably see you that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you can always go to the Iowa State game again.
Well,
come on now. Come on.
I had my family had stopped bringing it up. My social circle had stopped bringing it up, and I come over here. I think I'm in the midst of friends, and there it is.
Well,
hey.
It was a great game that nobody was expecting a year ago. What are your early thoughts on it? Because I think Texas is going to be better, but I also think Alabama's kind of flying under the radar if you're Alabama, if that's possible.
I remember symbolic was the word we used a lot, because if Texas were to win the game, you would have the Texas's back crowd, all caps. That would be the entire sport would be a wash in that, and that's. It seems the scenario everyone's ready to entertain. Well, the funny thing about it is you're talking about a 7-point underdog. when you're talking about the scenario everyone wants to entertain. So I just bounced this one off of you. If we're going to be irresponsible and talk about scenarios and whatnot, what if Bama just wins the game 38-17? What if that were to happen? Twofold. Number one, you've got how in the world did Bama just hang 38? Like, what does quarterback position look like, in other words, if that happens? Number two, they held Texas to what? So the secondary played like what? And all of a sudden, the Nick Saban team this year that everyone picked behind LSU is doing what? Like, that's a hinge game. Definition of a hinge game. Because if it does go the way of Texas, as much as folks want to pump Sark, that same crowd would take their next breath and say, told you so. Told you Bama's not what they were anymore. Huge hinge game.
Wow. We've gone through this whole conversation and haven't even brought up the two-time defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs.
That's probably because you looked at their schedule.
Which we did.
Yes,
and we brought that up earlier already.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
It's fair. I mean, it's not their fault, but it's fair.
You got to play the games that are scheduled, but wow.
We hardly ever get to go to Athens. Last year, the Tennessee game was the first time I'd been there in several years, just because if you're claiming you're going to the biggest game of the week and you've had the SEC East be down to the degree it has, you never get a chance to go there. I think one of the misconceptions is Georgia internally is happy with that soft schedule. And I remember talking to some of their folks when the league stepped in and had them cancel that Oklahoma game. Right. Man, furious. Because there's a business aspect to this. And you're coming off 2 national championships, so you won't struggle to sell tickets. But as a general rule of thumb, you need to have a dynamite home slate if you're charging folks what they charge folks. Bama's had this a couple of years. This year's a great slate in Tuscaloosa. And you got a couple of teams that beat you last year coming in there. You got one that came within 1 point. Georgia doesn't have that. Georgia got a bunch of
Tennessee, Martin, UAB. There, that's not going to do it.
No. Well, we love you, man. We love your work, and thank you for coming down here, being in your homes, in your home area, in your backyard. But it's great to see you. We look forward to connecting with you during the season. But always great to talk football with you, brother.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, Josh Bateman with us. Let's get a break in. More Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Brian Bellamy State Farm Insurance, located in the Rosie's Shopping Plaza. There you go. Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, and indeed Bryant Bank, our sponsor for day one here at SEC Media Days. Remember, when you bring your personal finances to Bryant Bank, it's much, much more than a place to make a financial transaction. It's joining a community bank that greets you by name and treats you like family. And when you come here to SEC Media Days, it's kind of like family, because it's like a family reunion of sorts.
It really is, even if he is semi-retired, is the best way to put it for me. And that's Jimmy Himes, who's really not. He's still going to be a force around the SEC Media Days, that's for sure, from Sports Radio WNML. Jimmy, how you doing, man?
Drew, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Even though it's not Tennessee Day, we've had a lot of conversation about Joe Milton and how good Tennessee can be. And you know, I've made this statement in the first hour, if he's that dude and has improved as much as people think he could, then I think Tennessee's going to have a double-digit win season. If he's not, I think Nico will eventually be the guy, and they're not going to be a bad football team. They still be 8-4, but if he's really, really, really special, then they're going to have a shot at Georgia, and they're going to have a shot to win 10 again and be in the playoff conversation. But I think it honestly comes down to him and Coach Banks and the defense improving. But I really think Milton is the key.
I think he's the key as well. And if he can be as consistent for a season as he played in that game against Clemson in the Orange Bowl, look out. Tennessee's going to be really good. Now, can he do that? I don't know. He was inconsistent in 2021. Last year he was in a mop-up role, so it's really hard to get a good gauge of where he was. But he played so well against Clemson. And so, and you mentioned they could get Georgia. They could get Alabama, too.
Yeah, and that'd be of course. They've already gotten Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, the one team they didn't get, South Carolina, throw it out the window. That was just a bad night.
Yeah.
All with Hendon going down, too. But they definitely, if they're that good, of course they got a shot to get Alabama again. But I'm just talking about if they're going to win the SEC, it'll be getting Georgia. And they get them at home. And I think could make a difference.
Yeah, they do. And look, Milton has got all the tools. I was sitting there talking to someone the other day that if Anthony Richardson can be the number 4 pick of the draft, why not Joe Milton?
Well, I mean, Jalen Milroe thinks he is now.
Does he have the same weapons, though, as he had last year there, receiving-wise?
But here's the thing I'm going to say about Heupel's staff, though. They feel like, and I'll let Jimmy answer it, but I think they feel like they're good enough now they can plug. In other words, they've recruited well enough. We've seen how they developed Tillman because he had not put up any numbers. And then Hyatt, nobody knew who Hyatt was last year going in, Scott.
Yeah,
I think they believe they got some guys now that are going to be ready.
Yeah, do they have the same weapons?
They have different weapons, but they will be weapons. Brew McCoy is a really good football player.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that he's going to put up Jalen Hyatt numbers, but he's going to put up really good numbers. Squirrel White is a really good football player. Clemson couldn't guard him. He had 9 catches for 108 yards, something like that. Ramel Keaton is a guy that's just been a steady Eddie. You're always looking for somebody to beat him out. Nobody can. And they've got a pretty good collection of receivers behind them that are talented, but they just haven't had a chance to play. So I do think he's got the weapons. I think they're good at running back. They got 3 running backs, any of whom could have an 800-yard season if they had enough carries. So I think they're fine there. I think he's got the weapons to do it. They're good at tight end. They got a Warren kid, Jacob Warren is back at tight end. They got a tight end that came in from Brigham Young that's a really good, from UC Davis that's really good. Yeah, I do think they have the weapons. They're not going to average 47 points a game.
Right.
But I think they'll average 40.
Well, I just think if Joe Milton, and I admire him for staying, first of all, because you know how transient the quarterback position is. When he lost the job, he stayed. But if Josh Heupel makes what Jimmy's talking about, a first-round pick out of this kid, he's turning into another Lincoln Riley if this happens. In other words, what you expect every year now is to plug the next quarterback in, and your offense is going to be great every year, and Tennessee will truly be back. I think that's what's at stake here. If Joe Milton is first or second team All-SEC, then Tennessee is completely back.
Yeah, and that's a good point if he is. Now, here's the difference between him and Anthony Richardson. Well, Richardson was a great runner and enjoyed running.
Yeah.
Milton does not.
He's a passer.
Milton
he's more
can
of a passer.
run, and he's fast.
Right.
But he doesn't like to run. He likes to throw the football. So as far as arm strength, I'll put Joe Milton up there with him any day. As far as backflips, he can do a backflip with Anthony Richardson, I'm telling you. He can throw an orange 112 yards. But he's got to be consistent in his decision-making, and there are going to be some design runs for him. And there are times when I've watched him where as soon as the defender comes up to him, instead of trying to break a tackle and run for 50 yards like Richardson, he'll get hit and go down.
Well, one of the things, though, too, Josh Heupel, when Joe Milton first had the job, Josh Heupel was new. Joe Milton, they had to kind of work to know each other. Mm-hmm. Joe Milton now has been with Josh Heupel for a year, and we talk about the accuracy. Do you think Josh Heupel puts him in better positions to be more accurate?
Yes, I think that's a part of it. And the other part of it was Joe Milton, his nickname his first year was Overthrow Joe.
Yeah,
when he would throw a long ball, anything over 40 yards, 30 yards, he was overthrowing people.
Right.
He was much more accurate this past year, and so he's worked on that. They've worked on his touch as well. If he was throwing a 10-yard route, he would try to throw a bullet through you.
Right.
He can't do that, so he's tried to learn to throw with a little bit more touch. But I do think they'll put him in position. I think this is a very smart staff. I think Heupel's a brilliant play caller and play designer.
Yeah.
That's one reason against anybody, whether it was even Georgia, Alabama, wherever they played, they had receivers running open. And that's really good design. That's really good play calling. That's setting things up. And Hooker was accurate with it. Now, will Milton be as he's not going to complete 70%, but if he can get in the mid-60s, that's a really good number for Joe Milton.
How much better, and I think this is another key for their team, if they got a shot to beat Alabama again and then to vanquish Georgia at home, how much better is the secondary going to be?
It will be an issue.
I know it was an issue last year.
And it's going to be an issue again. They're not very good in the secondary. Their front seven, I think, is pretty good.
I thought it was much improved, and I think it'll be better again. It's just the back end.
The back end is – now, Tennessee stacked it to where you weren't able to run. They were, number 3 in the SEC?
Yeah, their run defense was much better last year.
And so teams, one, they knew they would have trouble running it. Secondly, they had a secondary that had holes in it, so a lot of teams didn't even try to run the football. They just picked the secondary apart. Tennessee gave up, 280 yards a game passing, whatever it was. They're not going to be very good back there again, I don't think. They need to stay healthy. They were injured last year a lot, but they've got about at least 18 defensive backs on scholarship. You ought to find somebody that can play back there. But that's the biggest concern about this football team to me is the secondary. That is a potential weakness.
Well, and then it's just since I know we spoke with you on our evening program last week, but since that time, the Pruitt stuff is now public. We know that the verdict there. We know how happy was Tennessee with the verdict. Are they still frustrated with some of the scholarship losses? What was the overall feeling from the people you talked to?
I think that they, I think relieved is one word that comes to mind.
Right.
But I think they were satisfied with the result. They fought them on a few things. In my opinion, and I've reported this since March, Tennessee was not getting a bowl ban.
Right.
They weren't getting a bowl ban because they cooperated. And that had been told to me for months, so that was not a surprise to me. They were fighting him on scholarship reductions. How many was it going to be? Now, it's not a severe penalty. Because you see 28, well, they've already self-imposed 16.
16 of them.
So now the next 5 years,
it's
12. Okay, that's a little more than 2 a year.
Manageable.
It is very manageable. Yeah. That's right. The only people that are going to be hurt there are some walk-ons every now and then. You give a scholarship, now you won't have one to give. Right. The other part of it, some of the visits, Tennessee and most schools don't use all of their visit allotments anyway. So I don't think that's a huge issue. And besides, their 2024 class, they've already got like 16 commitments. It's a really good-looking class. The other part was the fine. There was some negotiation on the fine. I'd been told as much as maybe $10 million. Whew. It ended up being $8 million. Some people don't think $8 million is that significant when you have a budget of $150 million. I disagree from this standpoint. Tennessee has put on hold a number of facility renovations, Neyland Stadium, baseball stadium, other facilities, because they didn't have the money. Gotcha. So when you take $8 million away, I think that slows you down a little bit with your facility upgrades. But other than that, it should not impact anything that is done on the football field. And by the way, Tennessee's won the last 2 all-sports trophies. They're going to be really good again in the majority of their sports this year.
So while they're relieved of the NCAA side of things, Jeremy Pruitt in Tennessee, though, still trying for money, right? I mean, there's a battle there on if Tennessee's going to pay Jeremy. I mean, that battle's still ongoing.
Tennessee's not paying him. Now, he has said he's going to sue. Right. He threatened to sue, if I'm not mistaken, in October.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that time frame. And because he wants his $12.6 million. Tennessee said, we fired you for cause. Well, when you get a 6-year show cause and you're implicated in all these violations, what is your argument? How are you arguing that firing me for cause was not legitimate? So I don't think Tennessee's going to pay him any money. Now, they got an $8 million fine. They're paying attorneys almost $2 million. But still, I don't see them paying Jeremy. Could Jeremy sue him? He still could sue them. Does he have a good case? In my opinion, based on what I've seen, no.
And I think it would tie a lot of stuff up. It would just create it would be a lot of more money spent, time spent. The best thing for him would be, though, and I know you tweeted something about this. It hasn't been confirmed, or unless you've confirmed it in the last day or so. What do you think the likelihood is that he gets time served? In other words, 2 of the 6 years already, or is the 6-year clock going to start now?
I don't know the answer to that. I think the 6-year clock starts now.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is the 5-year probation starts now.
Okay.
Now they did get, quote, time served because they've already had 16 self-imposed scholarship reductions. But if the 5-year probation starts now, I'm thinking the 6-year show cause for Pruitt starts now. I think that. So we'll see going forward. I don't have a firm answer. Jeremy Pruitt's a really good defensive coordinator. It's hard to argue that he's a good head coach. Will he go to the NFL? He could certainly help an NFL team. Will he go back and be a high school coach? He might do that. I'm not sure. He did make almost $4 million a year for 3 years at Tennessee, so he should have a decent amount of money stockpile somewhere.
Well, and I know he applied
and a Chick-fil-A bag, maybe.
Yeah, well, he applied for a prominent high school job in my area, did not get it because they were afraid he would leave in a year. That's not going to happen now. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up back on the high school level. I mean, I think he fits there better than the NFL, honestly, because he had the little cup of coffee with the Giants, and I don't think he liked it. And then it was hard for him to get his foot in the door as a DC because he didn't play in the league. But as a high school coach, he made his bones as a high school coach before Coach Saban hired him. And I think that's his best avenue because it's going to be a few years for him regardless. And he's just going to have to go back to his roots and then bide his time. But we've seen guys do that before.
I think you're probably right. I think that's probably where he's going to end up. I did not know that he had a distaste in his mouth for the NFL. I haven't.
Well, it was the role he was in with the Giants he didn't really enjoy. But, again, he was trying to get on the field. But as he said, it's hard because, I mean, a lot of it's like I'm not a mobster, but he just says like the mob. You know, you have to be one of those guys, and then when you
got to be
get
connected
in,
and you got to know someone.
Freddie Kitchens, once Bill Parcells vouched for Freddie, he was in there for a while. So you got to get somebody to vouch for you, and he was just a quality control guy, wasn't really on the field. And so I know he wants to teach the game, and I still think with high school kids, he would have a lot of credibility still.
Yeah, I think he would. And working for Joe Judge probably wasn't a picnic.
Well,
my goodness.
That's a good point.
So, but again, going back to this, Jeremy Pruitt is a good football coach. He's a good defensive coach. Yeah. Head coach on the collegiate level, I can't vouch much for what happened at Tennessee in that regard.
Well, we can definitely vouch for you. We appreciate seeing you. It's going to be good to see you this week. Continued work. Work when you want to. That's a great way to put it.
That's right.
There it is.
I work when I want and as little as I want.
And now he doesn't.
I'm doing a good job of working a little.
And they're getting rid of a lot of the fake accounts.
There you go.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Let's get that break in. More Talking Ball from SEC Media Days 2023 presented by Bryant Bank today. Coming your way next.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery,
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you.
And this is Nieve for me. This is 9 in a row, and this is how many for you?
24.
24
consecutive trips to SEC Media Days.
And he's
And
Jordan.
Steve Moulton is 23
Yeah, he's Jordan.
trips to SEC Media Days.
So that means the Czar's third.
Well, so there's another show on the air that thinks that 20 is an impressive number, and he's third in line.
Yeah. So we are veterans here.
True veterans.
And I'm fourth, and I'm only 9. So
that's all right. You'll get there in time.
I'm actually fifth, though, right? Hadn't Wes been to maybe 1 or 2 more than me?
How many has Wes been to? Wes?
Because remember, he hired me, so he was here before I was.
He probably has been to a few.
Yeah,
down
maybe
the
1
line.
or 2 more than I've been. So I'm fifth.
Right. There you
go.
24th consecutive. I can say I was there when it was at the Sheraton Hotel.
And
down there by the
you didn't even have
BJCC.
your own
right.
credential.
So yeah. I mean, it was.
You've been doing it so
I
long.
went like the last day or whatever. I went there, and it was. I mean, it was there at the Sheraton, and then we moved it over to the Winfrey Hotel there, and it was 3 days long, and you got to play golf on the second day, and the last day was really short. And at that time, there were 3 TV rooms. There was 1 main room, and there were 3 TV rooms, so you could pick whatever room you wanted to go to. And basically, depending on the room you were at, you got a one-on-one with the coach there for about 10 minutes. So it was a good time. A lot has changed at SEC Media Days. A lot has changed. And a lot of people say now it's just more of a television production. It's just more
and speaking
geared.
of television productions, we're about to be joined by one of our favorite people.
We are.
Who was on the air before we were this morning.
We get to hear from him weekly during the college football season.
We certainly do.
And if that means we're talking to him now in person, that means we're about, 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks from having him on a rotation, on a weekly basis.
We're in his backyard because he's out in Nashville, and he's newly married.
Josh Pate didn't give us an invite. He said that we're in his backyard, and he gets to sleep in his own bed, and we're not getting an invite.
Well, I don't know about getting an invite, but we invited Jake Crane. He's here with us. What's up, Jake?
I'm super jacked and tan to be here. You guys are totally invited.
See, there we go.
You guys are totally invited. I'm just excited, man. I'm ready for football season to get kicked off, ready to get this thing rocking and rolling. And if I'm looking at Drew and Scott, that means we're right around the corner, baby.
Yeah, we are. And we got a new era for Auburn, Hugh Freeze. It's a much better fit. Night and day. The roster, I think the roster's sneaky good. I can't wait to see. I think I'll know by the time they go to Cal how good they may be. Yeah. But I'm anxious to see how all the pieces fit and how he makes it work. But I know offensively they're going to have a plan. And so I'm anxious to see these cats.
Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing, outside of kind of bringing in, some momentum and a guy that's a recruiter as a head coach that understands the importance of it, I think that was Brian Harson's biggest pitfall. I mean, all I want to do is talk about, accountability and lift weights instead of going out there and recruiting and getting the type players you need.
Yeah.
But what Hugh Freeze has brought in up front, bringing in the guys from Tulsa, from Western Kentucky, Avery Jones from East Carolina, that was Auburn's biggest problem, I think. You can get away with being okay at the skill positions if you're really good up front. You can't get away with it in the opposite. This game is won and lost up front. I don't care what system you run, whether it's triple option, whether it's air raid, whatever you want to call it. I think that's been the biggest thing he's done. Now, on the flip side of that, the pass rush, I think, is the biggest question for Auburn. I like DJ James in the back end. I like Nehemiah Pritchett. These are proven guys. I think the young linebacker core they have is talented enough. I like the interior defensive line. It's that pass rush, Marcus Harris, those guys. Can they get to the quarterback? And Auburn's defense doesn't have to be the steel curtain. They don't have to be elite because Hugh Freeze is a witch of the highest order. You add offensively, you bring in Phil Montgomery as well. It's from that Art Briles old school. Let's mess with the splits. Let's change up the combinations. Use the divider against the defensive backs. That's how they line up. That's how they know where they're at. It's kind of like their Magna Carta, as I used to call it. But no, it just – there's a lot of positive momentum in Auburn. Right now, it feels right. Now, look, eventually you got to win on the field. I like what he's doing in recruiting. They're getting after it. I like the staff he has together. But as far as this team, I think this will be the only year, and rarely does it happen, and I think the same thing's happening at Oklahoma right now in the Big 12. This is the only year Auburn's going to be able to be sneaky. It's the only season. So you have to take advantage of that. And we've seen first-year coaches at Auburn do some pretty crazy things.
No question.
Now, we'll say this. A lot of people are writing Robbie Ashford off.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is it Peyton Thorne or Robbie Ashford?
You typically don't bring in guys from the transfer portal or junior college to sit the bench, right?
Right.
You bring those guys into play. But Robbie, it's so much different, and a parallel I think that makes sense here. What's going on at Alabama with Jalen Milroe is so much different than what's going on at Auburn with Robbie Ashford. Why? Because what Alabama's running is an old pro-style, run-first, play-action, drop-back passer. You're going to run on the scramble drill. It's not going to be RPO heavy anymore like Bryce last year. It's going to be more old school, what we're used to seeing from Alabama. But at Auburn, you're going to get that RPO. Your legs are huge in this. How many times, guys, how big of a difference was it? And I know Nick Marshall's a much better athlete than Jared Stidham was. But that zone read, how much more effective was it with Nick Marshall? Just the threat of running.
Right.
Jared Stidham's much more accurate passer than Nick Marshall will ever be. Nick Marshall's much more athletic than Jared Stidham would ever be. The offense was better under Nick Marshall because that threat of the run opened up everything else. I think all you got to do is throw good enough. Just throw good enough.
And he can throw verticals,
that's exactly
man.
right.
Yeah.
You can spit it out when you need to spit it out, be able to hit the dig, be able to hit the 9 route. That's it. So if Peyton Thorne does win the job, and look, if he wins it, he wins it. Robbie Ashford's going to have a part in this offense.
So
probably third and short, fourth and short, red zone, certain situations, gadget plays. I wouldn't be surprised to see him catch the ball a little bit. So, no, it's going to be very interesting to see the way the quarterback position kind of falls out.
Everybody wants to put a ceiling on a team. Can we put a ceiling on this Auburn team?
I think 9-3 is the ceiling.
9-3
is the ceiling. I think they're going to fall somewhere around 8-4 this year, which would be a great year for Hugh Freeze in year one. You know, you look at the out-of-conference, you mentioned the Cal game, a game they should win. They're better than Cal.
Agreed.
Outside of that, there's nobody really in the out-of-conference that scares you. You got to go to LSU, okay? You got to go to A&M. You do get Bama and Georgia at home. If you can find a way to split that, I don't think they're going to be able to beat Georgia. I think the Bama game can be awfully interesting because I think it's a transition year for Alabama.
It's at Auburn, man.
And it's at Auburn. Remember what happened last time?
We know.
Ghost.
Yeah, so look, I don't like to put ceilings or floors on teams.
Yeah,
but it's the depth up front. That's what I think the difference is right now, and that's what takes time. You're seeing that with Billy Napier at Florida. You see this around the country. It takes time to build depth up front when you're taking over a program that didn't have it. So I think ceiling 9-3. I think floor 6-6 though. I think it's going to fall somewhere in between there.
I know you talked about this on today's show, but they're going to be in the league next year. And they were just not good. What makes you think, though, that Oklahoma could be sneaky under Venables in year two?
Well, you know, when we were talking about it, I was really referencing this year because their schedule.
Right.
When they could go 10-2 and not be a great team when you look at who they play. But Brent Venables, to me, and it's more of an instinctual thing, right? It's you know, it's not sitting here saying, all right, well, this is
and I trust it because you coach.
Yeah. Well, I can see it. I can see the way the players respond to him during the game. And it's one thing to you know, if you're a guy that was a head coach for a long time, then you come into a place and the players know, hey, this guy was a head coach for, 15 years before. Brian Kelly coming from Notre Dame to LSU. He don't have to convince those guys he knows what he's doing as a head coach. Brent Venables was a lifetime coordinator. Waited for the perfect job, a little bit later than Kirby waited, but waited for the perfect job and took it at Oklahoma. And I know he can recruit, and saw what he inherited. Last year on defense, they didn't have the guys. They didn't have the guys. They were scared to death to run stun up front. They were scared to death to blitz and play man because outside of Danny Stutzman and Coe and Kelly up front, they had a couple good pass rushers. They didn't have guys that were fast enough and athletic enough. They were giving up home runs left and right. It's like watching the Rockies, man. It's so you see what he's brought in with the portal. I love what they've done. The defense is going to be fine. Offensively, I like Dylan Gabriel. Now, if we're talking 2 years from now, you look at the way they've recruited. They've got some really talented young guys. I think the offense is going to be good enough, but Oklahoma is going to – I think they fit into the SEC good because they are going to be a physical defensive team that is a downhill play-action pass. That's where Brent wants to get it. And I think that's going to play in the SEC, and I think he can recruit. And I don't know, man. My spidey senses are just tingling with that one.
Well,
really?
And I'm not surprised because, again, Jake's put on the coaching hat, and Lincoln had neglected it defensively. They were really good offensively, but he's having to clean that up. It's going to be it'll be a fork in the road. If they go 8-4, 9-3, and they're a lot better, then I think going into the SEC they'll feel a lot more confident.
Yeah.
Because the SEC is a different deal. We all know that
For sure.
And then finally, before you go, What is your thoughts on Texas and Alabama?
Man, when I look at Texas, and people always say, if you say something good about this team, oh, Texas is back, Texas is back. Me and Tim Brando kind of on the opposite ends of this. I look at this Texas team, and they check all the boxes to me.
Right.
Defensively, look what they have up front. I think they're going to be much improved defensively. Offensively, you're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Quinn Ewers has shown you who he can be. And people say, oh, well, he was up and down. Yeah, welcome to being a young quarterback. All right, that's part of the deal. But then I look at adding A.D. Mitchell. I look at Xavier Worthy. I think they're going to be – Bijan was generational. I don't think anybody argued that. But the kid they have, the young guy – I'm never worried about Texas at running back.
No, they're right.
I feel like they have experience, and they're going to be the best they've been up front. And then you look at Bama. In a transition year is what I call it. And I've said this, and how many times can you remember Alabama having to replace a quarterback and a left tackle in the same year?
Wow.
Yeah, think about it. Because Nick Saban is the best ever at roster management.
Right.
We don't talk about it enough in college football. It's all they talk about in the NFL. This guy's cut, this guy made the roster, this guy's on the practice squad. All we talk about in college is scheme, what's going on in the game, and recruiting. We don't talk about roster management, not losing two symbiotic spots, not losing both your edge rushers and your Mike in the same year, not losing a quarterback and a left tackle in the same year. And this year we're seeing that with Alabama. And I think when you go back to what is, and my long-winded way of saying that I think Texas is going to win, is that Alabama built their rapport and their dominance and their dynasty off being able to line up and, for lack of a better term, kick your butt up front.
Right.
That's what they did. Not just their starting five on the offensive line, not just starting four on the defensive line, depth. They would bully you. They would take you in the schoolyard. Hey, it's 3rd and 1. You know we're running it. God knows we're running it. I know we're running it, and you still can't stop it. Now you look, that's Georgia. That's Georgia in the SEC. Tennessee's upgraded up front. Michigan's upgraded up front. You look across the country, it's not just Alabama monopolizing the line of scrimmage. And that's what happens over time. Football's a cyclical sport. So when I look at Texas, especially what happened last year, they're going to be pissed off, all right? Alabama, we know the success they've had. There's a lot of questions and important pieces. I know it's on the road, but Quinn Ewers looked at Alabama last year and wasn't afraid before he went down. And I think he's changed his body a little bit. Not that that would save him from getting blindsided and hurt, when these big 6'5", 300-pounders get on you. But, man, right now, and I save my predictions for the end of fall camp because I need to know who gets hurt, who wins what job. I don't like anything outside of that feels like a guess to me. But I like Texas right now, week 2. I honestly think, guys, people say, oh, well, you grew up an Auburn fan, whatever. Look, Auburn hasn't sent me a check yet. I honestly believe that Alabama could go 9-3 this year.
Interesting, very interesting. Always love your opinions, man. Love your show.
Good stuff.
Keep it growing. 6:30 a.m. every day this week. Crane and Company, David Cohn, Blaine Crane, those guys. Great job, man. Appreciate you.
Man, guys, always love coming on. Y'all do a fantastic job, and man, let's get this ready to do it weekly again, baby. Ready to get back weekly. That means
absolutely.
It's here.
That is.
Thanks,
all right, let's get that final break and wrap it up from SEC Media Days 2023 next.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear. Give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
John Neighbors.
Oh, I'm just laughing.
What happened?
Oh, I'm just laughing.
Because you and the czar are arguing over years?
Yep. Saying that we need to be better self-promoters.
Well, he certainly understands that.
And that we need to be better self-promoters. And the fact that because this is 24 straight, that I should have been promoting that a lot better. And that I'm like, people are listening to me and know that I'm here. That's fine enough for me.
Well, I self-promoted it on Facebook for myself because a memory popped up. Maybe, hey, the broom closet popped up. Remember the broom closet?
Yeah, that was Atlanta. The first trip to Atlanta, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago
That was disastrous.
And I just said, you're number 9 coming up at SEC Media Days.
I mean, that was awful. The only good thing about that was the dinner, Wes, and the whole, and you and I and Steve, we all went to that night. That's where
But
Wes
I almost got us run over, though.
That's where Wes realized I could actually eat some food.
Oh, I realized it too, and but I also had to drive then. that was fun.
That is where the infamous Birmingham and Huntsville is
but
to
Molotov was
the west.
Tokyo Drift,
or the east.
Tokyo Drift was
east.
telling me what was east and west.
Yes.
And he was backseat driving.
And he said Huntsville was on the. He said if you want to get back to Huntsville, you got to go the east.
And we're all looking at each other.
Wes is like, where the hell do you think we are? Literally, that's what he said. What? So anyway, we really digressed because that was just something. We're about done for our Monday coverage now. We do have Chuck Oliver coming up for you now.
From 10 to
He's going to take 2 hours. And then the Czar, we're about ready to go. Where the music is going to kick in here in about 10 seconds. And then you got the Czar from 12 to 2, and then you got the Paul Feinbaum show, and then the drive.
From 5 to 7, so we will have you covered all day.
Yes, we
Greg
will.
Sankey at 11:35.
Yep. We're going to go have breakfast now, or brunch. We had
breakfast already. Now we're having
now
brunch.
We're going to go have brunch. So we got the Czar coming up from 10 to 12, or 12 to 2. Chuck Oliver coming up next, folks. Be back at it tomorrow morning. The Hyatt Hotel.
Uh-oh. The Hyatt Hotel. This is your 9
I said the Winfrey. I said the Winfrey.
We'll be back at the Hyatt tomorrow from 7 to 10 a.m., everybody. 1 show in the books, 3 more to go.
We may be
Thank you to all our guests,
the Winfrey in Dallas next year. That's what I was thinking.